Welcome back, everybody, to Wager Talk TV. I'm Ross the Boss Benjamin of WagerTalk.com. It is Thursday, September 25th, and I got two more college football free pick winners on the Saturday night card in the games between Arizona and Iowa State uh, and also Alabama and Georgia. Boy, oh boy, I had a little bit of a brain freeze there for a second. Anyway, folks, will Arizona be able to continue on an undefeated path and upset the Cyclones on the road and show they're for real? Or the Iowa State Cyclones rebound from a poor performance in a 24-16 win at Arkansas State in a game they were a sizable favorite and shut up all the critics who say they're overrated at number 14 in the country. On the other hand, the Alabama Crimson Tide, winners of two in a row after losing their opening game against South Florida, and it seemed like everybody wrote them off. Well, they're going to Athens between the hedges to take on the Georgia Bulldogs at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. And will Alabama be able to win three in a row and make a statement here to say they're for real and knock off Georgia on the road, or Georgia continue their 33-game home win streak and win for the 34th time in a row in Athens? I got all those answers and much more coming up very shortly. All right, real quickly, folks, if you have not subscribed to our YouTube channel, take a second to do so. It's 100% free. Hit that subscribe button and then click on the alert notification bell for Wager Talk TV. You'll be notified immediately upon any of our great content going up on our great channel. Also, be kind enough to give me a like, folks. Last week, 7-1 with our football free pick videos between college football and the NFL. And looking for another big week in the free picks. And boy, I've been killing it with the premium picks, folks. And I'll get to that in a little while. Also, let us know who you like on the Week 5 college football card. Leave your picks. And if you want to put an analysis in, that's fine too. Leave it in the comment section. Just be sure to be nice, okay? We're going to disagree. It's sports betting. Doesn't mean we have to go to war, okay? I don't care if you disagree with me. Make a valid point on why you do. Okay, instead of calling me an old man or saying that I'm senile or every other thing that's been said to me over the years, and I just keep winning though. You know what I mean? It's amazing how I'm not sound of mind, but I keep winning. What is it? In any event, be nice, be respectful, don't be demeaning. Let's keep it a positive community, folks. All right, so the Arizona Wildcats at the Iowa State Cyclones. Arizona comes in with a 3-0 record. Iowa State 4-0. The Cyclones are a 6-point favorite here at home. And Iowa State was, like I alluded to at the top, was completely flat in last week's 24-16 win at Arkansas State. That's the same Arkansas State team that lost to Kennesaw State, I believe the week before, if I'm not mistaken. I know they lost to them. In any event, what I'm saying, it's a game that Iowa State should win handily, but they were flat, and they failed to cover as a sizable double-digit favorite. The Cyclones, I could give them a pass on it because they had just defeated in-state rival Iowa in an extremely close game at home the week before. Iowa State is 4-0, and they're going to be taking on a formidable opponent in Arizona, who, like I said, comes in with a 3-0 record. But here's the thing. I'm a firm believer that you're going to see a whole different Iowa State team at home this week in a conference game against an upstart team like Arizona, and a team that a lot of people are saying should be ranked, and in Iowa State should not be, or they should at least be ranked ahead of Arizona. Well, Iowa State will be out to make a statement at home, and I think that's what's going to occur here. Speaking of undefeated Arizona, they're coming off a narrow 23-17 home win against Kansas State. That's a Kansas State team, 1-3 on the year, 0-3 against FBS opponents, and their only win came against FCS team North Dakota, and they needed a last-second touchdown to come away with that victory. So not exactly a win you could hang your hat on for Arizona, especially seeing as how Kansas State has struggled. Kansas State was one of the favorites in the Big 12, but if that win happened earlier in the year, I think we would see Arizona be totally overvalued here. But It didn't. So we have this at hand. Arizona is a 6-point underdog, and for a reason. I'm going to take Iowa State here. Lay to 6 over Arizona. Before I get to the game between Bama and Georgia, real quickly, folks, $49 Weekend Warrior Special. What does that include? Well, it includes all my Saturday college football picks, Sunday NFL picks, and Monday NFL pick or picks. I say picks because there's 2 games on Monday. It's all for just $49. Folks, my college football 5% best bets alone are $35 on Saturdays. And I'm 4-0 with those picks this year, by the way. For another $14, you're going to get the rest of my college football, all of the NFL on Sunday and Monday, just for $49. So, folks, if you've been with me the last 2 weeks and you purchased this package from me, congratulations. Last week you went 7-1. The week before you went 8-4. 15-5 over the last 2 weeks combined on Saturday, Sunday, Monday, college football, NFL picks. So take advantage of this offer, folks. I don't know how long we're going to keep running this, but I know one thing. It's an absolute steal. All right, Alabama at Georgia, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Georgia, a short 3-point favorite here. I say short because it's very rare you'll see Georgia in this territory as a small favorite at home. And we have a 3-0 Georgia team here, ranked 5th nationally. They've won 33 straight at home, yet they're just a 3-point favorite against a 2-1 Alabama team. And this is where you have to be careful, folks. And I always tell you, think like an odds maker. Why is Georgia just a 3-point favorite with a 33-game home win streak against a 2-1 team? Well, I'll tell you why. I believe Alabama is better on both sides of the ball. Yes, they lost their opener to South Florida on the road by 14. However, the last 2 games, they've been absolutely dominant, albeit against lesser competition. But you look at the scores of 73-0 and 38-14 over Wisconsin and also UL Monroe. They racked up over 1,000 yards of total offense in that game and threw for 750-plus yards. Their quarterback, Simpson, has been outstanding. And, I go back to game 1. I don't think that was his fault at all they lost that game. As a matter of fact, I thought he was the best player on the field for Alabama in that loss. And he continues to be the best player on the field in the next 2 weeks, and next 2 games for Alabama. Speaking of Georgia, okay, they really, really came away and escaped, I should say, with a 44-41 overtime win against Tennessee. Why I say they escaped? Well, first of all, they were a 3.5-point favorite. Second of all, Tennessee outplayed them. Tennessee missed a chip shot field goal with no time left on the clock in regulation time. And then the kid hits the field goal in overtime, but Georgia bounces back and scores a touchdown to win 44-41. Tennessee racked up nearly 500 yards of total offense in that game. Georgia just doesn't look the same to me. They don't look like the dominant team that we're used to with Kirby Smart. They're still a very good team. They're still a top 10 caliber team. But I think in this spot, this looks tricky, folks. They're begging you to take Georgia in this spot, and I'm not taking the bait. I'm going to go with Alabama plus the 3 at Georgia on Saturday, the 27th of September. Again, my 2 free picks, Iowa State -6 over Arizona, Alabama plus 3 over Georgia. Folks, what else do we have as far as promos go that really you should take advantage of? Here's the thing, folks. Number 1 in college football since the start of the 2023 season in units earned. Number 1 in college football last year in both win percentage and units earned. Right now in college football, 13-6 on the season, 68% up over 26 units, and 7-1 over the last 2 weeks. Okay, so college football has just been rocking since 2023. And I don't see any slowing down here. We're off to a great start again, and we're going to have a great Saturday in college football. My 5% best bets in college football, 4-0 to start the year. I had Miami of Florida last week, -7.5, an easy winner over Florida. So that makes me 4-0 with those best bets on Saturdays in college football the last 4 weeks. And I'm going to continue that trend this Saturday with a 5% best bet winner as well. Now, having said all that, we also have a special going on right now. It's usually $19.99 that's $1,999. Let me clarify. For a 365-day all access pass. And to be honest with you, when you do the math, folks, and I gave you all the numbers I just rattled off, it's cheap, okay? But it's even cheaper now because for a limited time, we're taking $811 off the regular price, and you're going to be able to get that package for $1,188, 365 days from yours truly, Ross Benjamin, all sports, all picks, including 5% best bets. On top of that, WagerTalk.com is going to throw in a 25% bonus coupon. What does that mean? That means through the entirety of the 365-day all-access pass with me, you'll be able to use that coupon for 25% off any handicapper as many times as you like over the entire 365 days. Great special. Also, if you want to shorten it a little bit and you say, I don't want to make that big a commitment, well, I got the answer for you. 60-day all access pass right now. You can get that pass for $598, I believe it is. Anyway, it's $200 off, whatever that is, okay? Check it out, wt.buzz/RB, wt.buzz/RB. That's where you'll find all my daily picks, my subscription plans, and don't forget, if you want to check out the archives of my video.
Welcome into Drew Silly Diamonds College Football Edition for Saturday, September 27th, 2025. I am Drew Martin, breaking down 3 college football bets coming your way. Let me know in the comments below what your picks are for today in college football, Major League Baseball. We got NFL tomorrow. All welcome in the YouTube comments below. It helps grow the show. Smash that like button if you're liking the content. As we got first game up, heading to Morgantown, West Virginia. West Virginia hosting Utah. It's the Utes, minus 12 and a hook as the road favorite, 47.5 being the total. 3:30 Eastern kick here. I like the Utes here, guys. Kyle Whittingham off of a loss last week against a very good Texas Tech team. Their quarterback, Devin Dampierre, the transfer from New Mexico. This offense does look a lot better, even though they got stalled last week. I think they'll be able to take advantage of a West Virginia team here that's pretty banged up. They got injuries at quarterback, running back, wide receiver, their offensive line cluster injuries. They did get that big win against Pitt in the backyard brawl. A lot of people seeing that, the big rivalry game. Outside of that, they really have not shown up. This is a team that lost to the MAC Conference Ohio team. They got blown out by Kansas last week, 41-10. I think this is something similar here, guys. I know a lot of people don't like to lay points on the road, but sometimes, hey, they cash as well. Minus 12 and a hook. It's the Utes over the Mountaineers, 3:30 Eastern in Morgantown. We got next one up, 3:30 Eastern, heading to the SEC, the Auburn Tigers, Texas A&M Aggies. We are seeing A&M minus 6.5 at home of the 12th man there in College Station, Texas, 53 being the total. If you're watching the video, you probably know where I'm going here. Wearing the Auburn hat, and hey, there's a couple good reasons why, though, here. First off, just watching this team, this is the best Auburn team in at least a half a decade, likely a lot longer than that. It is their third tough road game already this season, although they performed well, in my opinion, in both of the first two. They beat Baylor outright, and last week against Oklahoma, a lot did not go Auburn's way, and that's kind of putting it nicely for the referees and just the way the game played out. I thought they could have won that game outright. I thought the quarterback, Jackson Arnold, played very well. In the offense, they almost had 200 rushing yards. I think they're going to be able to run the football here against Texas A&M, at least to some degree. In Texas A&M overall, yes, 3-0 out the gate. However, just 1-2 against the spread. The last game they played in was 41-40. They beat Notre Dame. Very impressive win. Then they had the bye to prepare here. But that's a lot of time for people to kind of pat you on the back there in, being at the University, Texas A&M here, Texas A&M University. So they're likely kind of riding high. Other than the Notre Dame game, I mean, they played Utah State, UTSA. They won both of those games, both non-covers, however. Got to bring up the fact Mike Elko here, Texas A&M, 0-4 against the spread off of a bye week. So the extra time has not helped them at all. 0-4 against the spread off of the bye. And dogs this season in the SEC, hey, they've been barking 80%, 8-2 are the dogs in SEC conference play so far. I think another one here is barking. I wouldn't be surprised if Auburn wins outright. Going to put the 6.5 in our pocket. We're on the War Eagles over Texas A&M. Got one game left. It will be the nightcap for the show. A reminder, if you could comment below, it helps grow the show. Anything more than welcome. Your picks, where you agree, where you disagree. Feel free to call me a homer, going with Auburn there. Or if you like West Virginia, that works as well. If you're interested in premium picks, check them out. WagerTalk.com, experts page, Drew Martin. Do have the Saturday and Sunday NFL big bets up and available there. You got the discount on the 1 year all access, 30-day, 7-day as well. So some good options there. WagerTalk.com, experts page, Drew Martin. All right, we got a nightcap for the show. Will be BYU in Colorado, the last game on the card, the degenerate special, if you will. 10:15 Eastern, 7:15 Pacific. It is BYU minus 6.5 as the road favorite, 49 and a hook being the total. Colorado comes in, they lost both of their FBS matchups to Houston and to Georgia Tech. Their defense letting up over 400 yards a game. Now they're up against BYU, who's 3-0 out the gate, both straight up and against the spread. If you go back to last year, they're 5-0 ATS and straight up. So they've been cashing some tickets. In that 5-0 includes over the Colorado Buffaloes in last year's bowl game, the Alamo Bowl. They beat Colorado 36-14. Now they're playing them again. Their defense only let up one touchdown so far this season. That was in the fourth quarter. They were already had the game, won as well, just to put it into context. So the last three versus Colorado, they've won and covered all of them, averaging by more than 2 touchdowns. I think this one is BYU by 2 touchdowns again. So we're going to lay the 6.5 over Colorado. BYU minus less than a touchdown over Colorado. We got Auburn plus 6.5 against Texas A&M, and Utah laying the wood over West Virginia. That does it for the Saturday show, guys. We'll be back for Sunday. Come back and join us. Till then, smash that like button, comment below, cash those tickets. Enjoy the rest of your Saturday.
Texas A&M is the home favorite, off to a good start this season. What's your thoughts on this one in the SEC?
Sure, let's talk about it. 3:30 Eastern, 12:30 here on the left coast. Texas A&M, looking at the Odds Logic live odds screen, minus 6.5, total in the 53 range against Auburn. And it's pretty much painted 6.5. I don't see 7s out there at all. And there's a reason we're not seeing 7s. That's because A&M has a very dicey statistical profile on defense. They're 0-2 against the spread as favorites this year. They didn't get the stops against Utah State. They didn't get the stops against Texas San Antonio. And frankly, they didn't get stops against Notre Dame either. 3-0 to the over Texas A&M this season. So my handicap begins with thinking about Texas A&M's defense. Is this defense capable? Are these stats misleading? Are they vulnerable? That's the question. So let's break it down. Obviously you beat Notre Dame, you get a bye week. That's a good thing. All right. You come back home, you're feeling good about yourself, but then you have time to come back to earth and start focusing on the next opponent. Obviously, there's an overtime loss element. There's a revenge element for Texas A&M, who lost by an OT to this team last year. So that's certainly a good focus maker. So I like a team off a bye with focus, and that appears to be the situation here. But, they're 103rd in the country in scoring defense, 72nd in rushing defense, 66th in total defense, right? Which is a far cry from what Auburn saw last week against Oklahoma, who's top 10. in almost all of those categories. But I'm not as concerned as the betting markets are about the Aggies defense. All right. The talent is there. Elko's a good defensive mind. And just because they've had some early season struggles, we project forward. I think this defense might be pretty good. I know already the offense is pretty good. And I know already that Auburn's offensive line has issues. When Jackson Arnold gets sacked, 9-10 times last week, it's clearly a problem. Sooners pass rush gave Auburn all kinds of issues in that ballgame. And I think Texas A&M is stronger offensively than Oklahoma. I know they're stronger offensively than Oklahoma is. So if I believe in the Aggies defense and I trust their offense, well, that doesn't make me excited about Auburn. And look, Auburn has 4 straight losing seasons. First under Brian Harsin, now under Hugh Freeze. The big week 1 win over Baylor is devalued a bit. Baylor just lost at home to Arizona State too. It's a scenario in which, Auburn's receivers could be able to take advantage of one-on-one coverage. They couldn't do against Oklahoma. But I think the Aggies are the undervalued commodity in this matchup because of that defensive profile that isn't pretty yet. And I think the defense, from my eye test, I think the defense is better than what we've seen. So it's Aggies or over for this better. That's the only way I can look here. Texas A&M minus the points and or over the total. That's the way I lean for Saturday in College Station. We had a big weekend last weekend. 4-0 in college football, 6-1 overall. The only loser was the freaking LA Rams, but we're over it. And looking to do it again this week. I'll take a 6-1, no problem. Locked and loaded already with 1 in the NFL, 2 in college, and we'll be adding plays throughout the day as well. So check out my homepage, wt.buzz/TC. Weekend Warrior package, $49. Buy 30 days, get 30 days for $3. It's like, it's a really good deal there, $3 a day. And of course, the full season, the full year at $99 a month is a great deal as well. So short-term, medium-term, long-term, however you want to get on board, do it now. Visit my homepage, wt.buzz/TC.
Welcome back, everybody, to Wager Talk TV. I'm Ross the Boss Benjamin of WagerTalk.com. Folks, I'm absolutely on fire with both my free picks on this channel and also my premium picks over at WagerTalk.com. And we'll get to the premium picks shortly, but another winner yesterday as we had the Mets and Cubs over the total on the I did that on the Wager Talk Today show. And 2-0 the video before in Major League Baseball, 8-2 at our last 10 free picks in Major League Baseball right here on this channel, and 7-1 last week with our college football and NFL free picks on this channel. So a lot of great stuff happening. I'll get to the premium picks. You're going to want to hear this, folks. We got a lot of great specials going on, and boy, oh boy, folks, if you don't buy from me now, you'll never buy from anybody. But having said that, it's your prerogative. All I ask on these free picks is you give me a like. Hit the like button. Just a small token of your appreciation for the time, work, and effort I put into bringing you a quality free pick video or videos on a daily basis. And also, folks, if you have not subscribed to Wager Talk TV, take a second to do so. It's 100% free. Hit that subscribe button in the bottom right-hand corner. You'll be privy to some of the best sports betting experts in all the world right here at Wager Talk TV. And it's not boasting, folks, when it's fact. So, and we have backed it up time and time again. The #1 handy or sports betting site on the internet today, WagerTalk.com. And right here, you're just not going to get any better content when it comes to sports betting collectively from a group of great handicappers at Wager Talk TV. So hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, and let us know who you like in week 5 of the college football schedule. Leave your picks or your analysis or picks, plural, in the comment section. Always pleased to hear what you like. And I enjoy the conversations between you guys that you guys have been great, man. I've been telling you time and time again, we're not going to tolerate vulgarity, disrespect, demeaning behavior. You'll be removed in your ability to comment. Now, that doesn't mean you can't disagree with what I say or disagree with my picks. Keep it respectful. Do we have to go to war? Who comes out on top with that? So in any event, folks, let us know who you like in the comment section in college football week 5 action on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. All right, so let's get to the first game we're going to discuss in college football. The Notre Dame Fighting Irish at the Arkansas Razorbacks, 12 p.m. Eastern Time, slated kickoff. The Notre Dame Fighting Irish, currently a 4.5-point favorite, and the total in this game is 64, which is extremely high. If you've been following Notre Dame football over the last few years, and especially so under the guidance of current head coach Marcus Freeman. However, you look inside the numbers, and that total being that high is justified. The Notre Dame defense that was supposed to be so good this year, experienced, they're allowing 32.7 points per game and just shy of 400 yards per contest. Actually, it's 399.7 yards per contest to be exact. Notre Dame, 4 true road games since last year. They've averaged 42.5 points per game in true road games since the start of last season. In fact, this Notre Dame team has scored 31 points or more. And I should say this Notre Dame program, because the players change annually. This Notre Dame program has scored 31 points or more in 15 of their last 20 true road games. Notre Dame last week led Purdue 35-23 at the half in their 26-point win, in which they covered as a 24-point favorite. And when Marcus Freeman has been their head coach since he's arrived at Notre Dame as their head coach, I should say, the Irish have averaged 43.8 points per game after scoring 24 points or more in the first half of their previous game. And I believe that's a total of 15 situations in which that's occurred. So since Marcus Freeman has came aboard. So a lot of good stuff to like about Notre Dame offensively, especially in true road games. And Notre Dame's strength of the running game in recent seasons. However, Arkansas gave up 294 yards rushing to Memphis last week. Notre Dame's run game, where I was going with that, hasn't been quite as effective as they would like, especially with all the prognosticators in which they were predicting Notre Dame was a 200-plus yards per game rushing attack. They still very well may be. They're at 164 now. But, Arkansas, again, they gave up 294 yards rushing to a group of 5 opponent in Memphis last week. So now we also look at Arkansas. They're a very balanced offensive attack. They're averaging 43.5 points per game and 554.8 yards per game of total offense. Yet they're 2-2. So that tells you their offense is dynamic, but their defense isn't stopping anybody. And when I say they're balanced offensively, they're averaging 34 runs and 33.5 passes per game. You can't get more balanced than that. And in all 4 games they played, they had 300 yards or more passing on each occasion. Under Sam Pittman, their current head coach, they're averaging 40.8 points per game in non-conference contests. And that encapsulates 22 non-conference games under Sam Pittman, and they're averaging 40.8 points per game in those games. So when they get away from the SEC, there's certainly a dynamic offensive team to deal with. It's a high number, but it's a high number for a reason. I can see this game actually playing in the low 70s. Notre Dame, Arkansas, over 64 for me on Saturday, the 27th of September. Before I get to my next pick, which comes in the Louisville Pitt game, and stay tuned for that because, could Pitt bounce back with a week of rest after getting upset in their bitter rivalry annual game against West Virginia, or Louisville continue the momentum in their undefeated season. I got those answers and much more, and we'll get to that in just one moment. But I have to run by you a couple promos that really, really you should take advantage of, folks. And look, I'm not begging you to buy, but I'll tell you the numbers, okay? $49 Weekend Warrior Special. You'll get all my college football, all my NFL on Sunday and Monday, all my college football on Saturday for $49. My 5% best bet in college football on Saturday is $35 by itself. Not only will you get that, you'll get everything else I put up for Saturday, Sunday, and Monday for another $14. On top of that, folks, don't forget, we have 2 Monday night games in the NFL this week. So a little luster added to the pie. In any event, also, folks, if you've been with me the last 2 weeks with this Weekend Warrior package, congratulations. 7-1 last week, 8-4 the week before, 15-5 in all. College football 4-0 2 weeks ago, NFL 4-0 last week. College football the last 2 weeks, 7-1. NFL the last 2 weeks, 8-4. College football 5% best bet since the season started, a perfect 4-0. I had Miami of Florida last week as a 7.5-point favorite against Florida, and they won the game handily, blowing them away down the stretch. That makes me 4-0 with my college football 5% best bets of the week. Also, NFL 4% best bet last week on the Cleveland Browns on Sunday, plus 8.5. They win outright against Green Bay. 4% best bet on Monday night. I had the Detroit Lions plus 4.5. They win over the Baltimore Ravens and did so in quite easy fashion. It wasn't even as close as the final score might indicate. So a lot of good things there for $49. I'll get to the other specials right after I give you my analysis and pick in the Louisville and Pitt game. And I would ask that you stay tuned for what else we're offering, because with the winning I've been doing lately, look, folks, I'm not going to beg you to buy, but do the math. Come on. Show an urgency to win. You complain when you lose. Well, show an urgency to win. Spend a little money. We're not asking for a ton of money. Our $49 for Saturday, Sunday, and Monday in college football and the NFL, 15-5 the last 2 weeks, 7-1 last week. Come on, spend a little money. All right, Louisville at Pitt, 12 p.m. Eastern time as well. The Louisville Cardinals are a 4.5-point road favorite. Here's the thing. Pitt's coming off an upset loss in their previous game, which was 2 weeks ago. They're coming off a bye week, the Panthers, so that's important. 2 weeks ago, they traveled to West Virginia, Morgantown, West Virginia, and they lost to the Mountaineers 31-24 as a 7-point road favorite. Pitt, as a home dog since November 4th of 2023, the Pitt Panthers are 4-0 against the spread as a home dog and 3-0 against the spread, and winning 2 of those 3 games outright if they were a home dog of 12 or less. So Pat Narduzzi has done very well with his Panthers in home underdog role in recent seasons. Pitt is also playing with revenge from a 37-9 shellacking they took at Louisville last year. But, this is a team that's 3-0 straight up in ATS at home versus Louisville the last 3 times they played them. And they were a dog on 2 occasions. Again, it's 3-0 straight up in ATS at home versus Louisville is Pittsburgh. And they were a dog on 2 of those occasions and a 1-point favorite in the other one. So they play Louisville tough when they get them at home. Now, Pittsburgh got caught looking ahead last week in a rivalry game against a team that was playing with revenge as an away favorite beside. Now they go from an away favorite against a team with revenge to them playing with revenge themselves as a home underdog. I just think there's a lot of betting value here on the home underdog Pitt Panthers in this spot. I'm going to take Pittsburgh here plus 4.5 over the Louisville Cardinals. That's Pittsburgh plus 4.5 over the Louisville Cardinals on Saturday the 27th. And I'm also going to take the Notre Dame Arkansas game to go over the total of 64. I'll be back with another free pick video, 2 more winners in college football and later games on Saturday. So stay tuned for that. Don't forget, if you see this in time, a Thursday night NFL free pick, Seattle and Arizona, is up right now on my video channel, my personal video page at WagerTalk TV. That's wt.buzz/Ross TV, wt.buzz/Ross TV, and also a Friday night free winner in college football as well is up at WagerTalk TV. Same link, wt.buzz/Ross TV. All right, I said we have 2 more specials, and it's worth your while to listen to them because, look, since May 13th of this year, I've won 61% of my plays. 61%. And I've made 127.77 units. So that's going on 5 months. It's 4.5 months as we speak. And you could get my 365-day all-access pass right now, normally priced at $19.99, right now for a limited time, just $1,188. I know that seems like a lot, but when you break it down, it's not. It comes to 40, now let me see here. I don't have the average price, but when you break it down, $1,188 divided by 365 days, you'll see what I'm saying in terms of value. Plus, you're getting $811 off. On top of that, we're going to give you a 25% bonus coupon. What good will that do for you? It'll do you a lot of good. because if you like somebody else that's putting up a pick in our great roster of sports betting experts, you're going to be able to use that coupon 25% off any other handicapper on the site throughout the duration of the 365-day package with me. So take advantage of that, folks. WT.buzz/RB. And the other one we have on special right now, 60-day all-access pass, $398. That's normally $598. Today, $398. WT.buzz/RB. That's everything I put out in baseball, football, and let me see, 60 days is going to take us into the NBA and possibly early college basketball season. So great value. Take advantage of those, folks. Don't forget to subscribe. It's absolutely free. Don't forget to hit the like button. I would really appreciate it. And for WagerTalk TV and Ross Benjamin, take care and God bless.
It might not be an official top 25 matchup this week, but it's a good game at 3:30 Eastern Saturday afternoon. Number 1 ranked Ohio State against unranked Washington Huskies. Both teams have played in the national championship game the past 2 years. Is there an upset potential here, or do the Buckeyes roll? I've got the answer. Free play with analysis coming up right here, right now. Hi, this is Steve Merrill, WagerTalk.com, right back here on WagerTalk TV, and we're breaking down your 3:30 Eastern game Saturday afternoon on CBS National TV. Number 1 ranked Ohio State traveling for the first time this year, coming off a bye week, so not a bad time to have the bye, get ready for this huge game. But it's also the first road test for young quarterback Julian Sayin, and I think there could be a live dog here in this game. It's hard to know if Washington really has improved that much after a disappointing 6-7 season last year, but I think they perhaps have. Now, obviously, their schedule has been pretty weak so far. They haven't been tested. In fact, I rank and update the schedule strength every week based on previous results and look at games. And right now, Ohio State has played about a top 35 schedule this year. And that, of course, is bolstered with that huge game against Texas in week 1. They haven't really been tested too much since then. They've had really nonchalant games against, of course, week 2, Grambling State 70-0, 55-point favorite. And then week 3 against Ohio, opened 31, closed 28. It landed exactly 28. They really dominated the game, though. They had almost 600 yards of offense, but still only got 37 points. And then they had the bye week. Washington, meanwhile, has played a very weak schedule. And as I was mentioning, I ranked the schedules. Out of 136 FBS teams, they've played the 4th easiest schedule so far this year. They've been 3 touchdown favorites or more against Colorado State, Cal Davis, Washington State. But they've done what they've had to do. They've only turned the ball over once. Dominating rushing attack, almost 800 yards rushing in the 3 games. And the passing attack's been pretty darn good as well, almost 900 yards passing. So while it's been a weak schedule, they've looked pretty good, and they were come back home here after that Washington State road win, which they put up 59 points. In fact, they've scored 129 points the last 2 games. I do think Washington is a live dog in this game. The other reason I say that is because we're getting line value. I do a 10,000 game simulation each and every week, and on average, I've got Ohio State winning this game by just 6 points. As you check the WagerTalk live odds screen and the Odds Logic live odds screen this week, we'll see that the money has come in on the Huskies, but they're still +8 in most locations, above that key number of 7. So there is line value with Washington. By the way, the look-ahead line this summer was as high as 2 touchdowns in Las Vegas. It opened around 9.5, 10 this past weekend, and some early sharp money hit the Huskies. It's now down to +8. I still think it's too high, as my game projection has Ohio State winning by just 6. And once again, we have a young, inexperienced quarterback. Sands looked good so far, but he's played 3 straight home games. I think this is a huge bump up for him, and this is going to be a tight game throughout. Even possibility that Washington could win this one outright. They're not even ranked. They're not even getting additional votes. They pull the upset here, they will be in the top 25 next week if they can bump off number 1 Ohio State. As far as the point spread goes, I take a look at Washington plus the 8 points at 3:30 Eastern on Saturday afternoon. Hey, there you go. Breakdown for one of your bigger games this weekend. Not an official top 25 video, so you're not going to find it in my college football top 25 video. So I wanted to give you a standalone video because I know many of you are looking at this game. Wanted to let you know the way I would recommend playing it and give you some insight. Hey, if you're finding these videos useful, all I ask is a thumbs up like. Boom. Thumbs up like. Smash it. It's done. And by the way, we hit over 220,000 subscribers this week here on WagerTalk TV. We added over 6,000 new subscribers in the month of September alone. Thank you if you're one of them. If you're one of our longtime loyal viewers, thank you as well. And if you forgot to click subscribe, it's never too late to do it. Double check, make sure you subscribe for free, and consider clicking that bell as well. You'll get an instant alert when every free play video is posted that I put up each and every day throughout the week. Baseball, college and pro basketball around the corner. Then, of course, though, college and pro football videos, including my college football top 25 video for this weekend and my very popular NFL Fade the Public video this weekend as well. So click that bell when you subscribe here on Wager Talk TV. Thumbs up, like, and hey, comment below. I do read the comments and I'll reply back. Do you think Washington has a chance to pull the upset here on Saturday afternoon, or do the Buckeyes roll and get their 4th win of the season? I read the comments and I'll reply back. By the way, if you want my official best bets, these free plays, these TV games often don't make the card. I always give you opinions when I have them. But my official best bets of the games I'm personally using, they go out to my paid subscribers. The same games I'm using, my clients get. Doesn't matter if you have a 1 day, a 1 week, or a 1 year subscription. It's been that way since I started over 29 years ago in August of 1996. And this week, you can get a special discount, 30% instant discount on any all-access pass. All access means you get every sport every day. And that's baseball, college, and pro football right now. Of course, basketball about a month away as well, college and pro hoops. 5 major sports that I cover on a daily basis. You can do a 1 day, a 1 week, a 1 month, even a 1 year. And when you use promo code ACCESS30, 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 you get an instant 30% discount on any all-access purchase. You can get the 1 day for $39, get that down to about $29. That's like the cost of one play. Do a 1 week, get it from $99 down to about $69. Or do the 1 month or 1 year and save several $100s with those promos. Once again, ACCESS30 gets it done. Full details are on my page. You don't have to memorize the promo code. I've got it listed on my page, along with the daily free play. The last cut from my best bet card goes up as a bonus free play every day on my page with analysis. So go check out today's free play. Check out the best bets and the special promo code and get there quicker. WT.buzz/SM. That's Steve Merrill, WagerTalk.com. On the way out, don't forget to follow me on social media as well at Steve Merrill, 2 R's, 1 L, MERRIL, at Steve Merrill on X and Instagram. And stay tuned because I've got a ton of more free play videos coming up next.
We got an SEC showdown on Saturday night in Columbia. That's Columbia, South Carolina, not Columbia, Missouri. Let's talk about the Wildcats and the Gamecocks. Teddy covers WagerTalk.com with a big game breakdown. And right now, look at my Odds Logic live odds screen. I'm seeing South Carolina minus 6.5. Total, let's call it 46. There are some 46.5s out there. There are some 45.5s out there. There's some variance on the total right now. 46, the prevailing number. 6.5 for South Carolina, the prevailing number. Again, oddslogic.com/Teddy will get you a free 7-day trial of our live odds product. It's cool. I keep it running on one of my screens just about 24/7. So again, oddslogic.com/Teddy to get free live lines for every sport at a billion books. It's kind of cool. Again, check it out if you are interested in that product. But Kentucky going with a backup QB. There's a backup QB, a Frosh. I mean, there was a redshirt Frosh, but a freshman backup QB on the road at night in SEC play. That's Cutter Bowley. The 7th-year senior Calzada still hurt. Even after the bye week, he's still hurt, which is certainly a concern for Kentucky. And it's not like Kentucky's been doing real good in this series, even when they've had a healthy starting QB, as opposed to a Frosh backup on the road making his first road start. The Gamecocks 3-0 the last 3 years, 2 of them by double-digit margins. Last year was a 31-6 blowout for South Carolina. This year, South Carolina doesn't look as good as last year's team. They really don't. My clients and I cashed with Lenora Sellers last week at Missouri, plus double digits, plus 10, and they lost the game by 9. But it was a scenario where I thought there was a little bit too much value to leave South Carolina alone at that price, and apparently there was a little bit too much value. That said, this week they have to win and win by margin against a Kentucky team, I'm not going to say desperate, but hungry and coming off a bye week. So in that sense, it's advantage Wildcats. That being said, we've certainly seen struggles from South Carolina. Sellers has been hurt. Now he's back in the lineup. The line of scrimmage has been a problem. Last week, Missouri 285 yards on the ground, South Carolina -9. And that has to do with sacks as well. But, Shane Beamer after the game. We've got good offensive linemen. We've got good running backs. We've got a quarterback that can run. There's a running threat. We're just not executing well enough. And of course, negative plays are a problem and have been a problem for Beamer's squad so far this season. More Beamer. We got what we need. We're just not doing it well enough right now as a whole. We haven't gotten the best out of this team. So Beamer seems to think that they have more in them than what we just saw and what we've seen so far this season. And again, in the 2 wins, South Carolina was ranked as high as number 11 a couple of weeks ago. But their 2 wins to open the season, the box scores, not as good as the final scores, 3 punt return touchdowns in those 2 games. And I talked about it last week when I was talking about South Carolina. All right. When a team excels on special teams, it makes their overall statistical profile look worse. So the betting markets tend to devalue those teams because when you get a punt return touchdown, your offense doesn't gain any yards. And the defense is going to be on the field back-to-back drives and likely to give up some yards the other way. So from a yardage standpoint, those don't go down as offensive touchdowns. They don't go down as offensive yards. So oftentimes, the teams with elite special teams become undervalued in the betting markets because their stats don't look as pretty as they should. And Beamer's saying, hey, we're better than we've looked the last couple of weeks. I think they're better than their statistical profile looks right now. Kentucky's playing a Frosh QB and making his first road start at night in the SEC. Yes, there are concerns here for the Kentucky side of this ballgame. We'll talk about that a little bit more. First, I do want to let you know about what's going on right now, and I want to ask you a simple favor. If you like this type of analysis, hit that like button. Thank you. Makes all the difference for the YouTube algorithms. Comment below. Tell me what you think about South Carolina and Kentucky or any other game on the board. Knock yourself out. You can make fun of my jacket. I don't care. All good. We appreciate the comments very much. And of course, if you haven't done so, more than 220,000 of you have now subscribed to WagerTalk TV. Join us, and you get instant alerts every time these videos go live. Been pretty good for current form right now. Last weekend, 6-1 with the football releases. The only loser, the LA frickin' Rams against Philadelphia, the bad beat of the weekend. So this close to going 7-0 last week didn't happen. It's okay. I'll take 6-1. I'm not going to complain. That's rearview mirror now. But we are in good current form. Check out my homepage, wt.buzz/TC, or just visit the website, WagerTalk.com. So Kentucky has been able to beat Toledo and Eastern Michigan. All right. That being said, and they competed with Ole Miss, so there's something to be said, but they still lost to Ole Miss by a full TD. I like Stoops off a bye in general. I think South Carolina, while still something of an undervalued commodity, I worry about the offensive execution against Kentucky. I really do. But better than the side here, I think the total is the way to go. All right. Under is cashed each of the last 4 meetings. One low-scoring game after the next. We don't have 2 teams that are lighting up the scoreboard right now. We have 2 teams that have been more defensive-minded than offensive-minded. We have offensive line concerns for South Carolina. We have quarterback concerns for Kentucky. We expect a conservative game plan from the Wildcats with a Frosh QB making his first road start. All these factors, again, 4 straight unders, 9 of the last 10 meetings under. But I'm more concerned with the current coaching staff and all of that. It's been under. Sharp money's already shown for the under in this game, and I'm expecting a defensive scrum. So what's my best bet in Columbia on Saturday night? Under the total for Kentucky and South Carolina. Thank you so much for watching WagerTalk TV. Stay tuned right here on the channel for another great quality video, free play video. And of course, appreciate those likes, comments, and follows very much. Check out my homepage, wt.buzz/TC, and have yourself a great betting Saturday. Cheers.
Late night college football this Saturday on ESPN. BYU at Colorado. I've got your late night winner with analysis. Free play coming up right here, right now. Hi, this is Steve Merrill, WagerTalk.com, right back here on WagerTalk TV. And it's a standalone late night game at 10:15 Eastern this Saturday on ESPN. Number 25 BYU traveling to unranked Colorado. Thin air and altitude won't be an issue for either one of these teams as they're used to it. And BYU did just crack their way into the top 25 in both the AP and the coaches poll. And sometimes there's a little bit of a hangover after getting ranked for the first time So let's look first at the side in this game. My 10,000 game simulation favors BYU by 6 points in this game. Current line, as I do this video midweek, is 6.5. Have seen one of the sharper books out there, bookmaker, go to 7. A little bit of a sharp lean on BYU. It opened 5.5. It's up to 6.5, 7. But once again, I project just a 6-point win for the road team. So not a lot of value on the point spread here. So let's look at the total instead for a free play for this late night game on Saturday. And I like under 48.5. Now this total opened 47. And early in the week, it was bet up to 48. We're already starting to see 48.5s out there. Both 47 and 48 are key numbers. About a 4% chance the game lands on either 47 or 48. So at 48.5 or more, we are starting to get some value now with the under. And I know it might be strange to play a Colorado game under. They've been all offense, no defense the past few seasons under head coach Deion Sanders. Prime time Deion Sanders. But they obviously lost a lot of offensive firepower to the best offensive player in the country now in the NFL with Cleveland and Jacksonville in the AFC. And we also saw a bit of a drop-off in the bowl game last year. And oh, by the way, these two teams played each other in their bowl game last season. And BYU did win that game 36-14 as a 3-point dog. And now they're, as I mentioned, about a 6.5-point road favorite. But what I want to point out on the total in that game was 54.5, and it landed 50, stayed under. But if you dig deeper, neither team moved the ball well offensively. And what was kind of a meaningless bowl game, we still didn't see much offense, as defenses usually take the day off. BYU had 331 total yards. Colorado was held to just 210 total yards in that bowl game last December. And if we look at the matchups here, neither team has really been tested. BYU's played about one of the 12 or 13 weakest schedules in the country. I've ranked them at 124 right now. Colorado, mid of the pack, 64th overall. But when they've stepped up in class in their 2 games this year, they have struggled. Colorado's gone 2-0 as a favorite. They've gone 0-2 straight up in ATS as a dog. And they scored only 20 points each time against Georgia Tech and Houston. So once again, don't think they're going to crack that 20-point mark here, as BYU has given up only 16 total points in their 3 games this season, including a solid showing last week at East Carolina. It's just a touchdown road favorite. They held ECU in check, beating them 34-13. So I think Colorado's going to struggle to move the ball a little bit in this game, but wouldn't be surprised to see BYU struggle as well. Their overall offensive numbers have come against a weak schedule of opponents, and while Colorado's weakness this year has been their pass defense, I think their run defense is okay, even though they gave up a lot of yardage in a couple games. BYU will look to establish the run. Not sure they'll have a ton of success throwing the ball, though. And even if BYU does have success running the ball on the ground, which they might in this game, that eats up the clock. It keeps it moving and makes for a shorter game overall. Overall, I think this game has an under written on it. Let's stay off the side. Let's look at the total. Under 48.5 for your late night game Saturday, 10:15 Eastern on ESPN. Hey, drop your thoughts on this game. BYU, Colorado below. What other games you'd like this weekend? Saturday college football, Sunday NFL. Include some analysis if you have time. Let's learn and earn and win together here on WagerTalk TV. And don't forget, if you're liking these free play videos, all I ask is a quick thumbs up like. Click the like button, the thumbs up button, boom. Took 2 seconds, you did it. And that'll keep these videos coming plentiful, free on a daily basis for both college and pro football, baseball, and even college and pro basketball, which is right around the corner. Also, make sure you've clicked subscribe. Over 220,000 subscribers, can't be wrong. And when you do so, click that bell as well for an instant alert. You'll get notified when my free play videos go up each and every week here on the channel, including my ever-popular NFL Fade the Public video for this Sunday. If you like my personal best bets, check out my page, SteveMerrillWagerTalk.com. And while you're there, check out the bonus daily free play that I post every day with analysis. It's a very simple concept. My best bets go up each day for my paid subscribers. I have maybe 2 to 3 best bets per day on average. I'm very selective. If I'm using the game, I send it to my subscribers. Same thing I've done since I started 29 years ago in August of 1996. But that last cut is still a really strong opinion still, and I don't want to waste it, so I put it up for free for everybody. Bonus free play right now on my page with analysis. Check it out, SteveMerrillWagerTalk.com. And while you're there, some very special promos and special discount offers for Best Bet Service this week. And the best one, in my opinion, is promo code ACCESS30, which is an instant automatic 30% discount on any Access Pass you want to buy, any All Access Pass. And as it says, all access means you get every sport, every play I release every day. You can try it on 1 day. It's normally $39, 30% off gets it down to like, what, $29? A 1 week is normally $99, 30% discount gets it down to about $69. Or even a 1 month or a 1 year. The bigger packages save you several $100s with that instant 30% discount. Promo code ACCESS30, ACCESS30. ACCESS30 gets it done. Automatic 30% discount on any all sport, all access pass from 1 day up to 1 year. And unlimited uses. You can use it each and every day if you want to do that 1 day. But obviously the bigger packages save you even more and get that cost per play down quite a bit. ACCESS30 is on there right now on my page. You don't have to memorize it. It's listed with full details along with my strong best bets and that bonus free play. Steve Merrill, WagerTalk.com. Hey, get there quicker with shortcut WT.buzz/SM. On the way out, don't forget to follow me on social media at Steve Merrill, 2 R's, 1 L, MERRIL, at Steve Merrill on X and Instagram. And stay tuned here to WagerTalk TV because you know there's more free play videos, including several NFL games, coming up next.
Hey everybody, Rob Veno here, WagerTalk.com, WagerTalk TV, with another free play with analysis. We're going to go back to the Saturday college football board and take a look at Washington State and Colorado State. A little bit of late night action here between these two non-conference foes. Real quick here, let me remind everybody about the Weekend Warrior football package offered by WagerTalk.com. You can get Saturday, Sunday, Monday's releases, everything that I released from football action this weekend. $49, the reduced price here, regularly $108, $108, down to $49. It includes 5%, everything that I released Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. So once again, Weekend Warrior football package up and available. Grab yours now, WagerTalk.com or at WT.buzz/RV. Take a look here at Washington State, Colorado State, a game that opened with Colorado State as a favorite and moved quickly in their favor. And it's climbed again to the current number of -5.5 in this contest. Figure most of that increase towards the Colorado State side built on situational angles. But there's an element of fundamental advantage here too for Washington State. Let's start with them. The disappointment of last week's Apple Cup loss. It could show up here in this one. Washington State was right there for 3 quarters, trailed just 31-24 after 3 as 21-point underdogs. But the roof caved in the fourth quarter, outscored 28-zip in that fourth quarter. It places a huge emphasis on first-year head coach Jimmy Rogers. He came over from South Dakota State, the FCS power, to pick his team back up off the mat. And a further concern for this team and their mindset was the shooting of one of their backup tackles here, right tackle Sone Falelo, who was at a campus party. He's going to be okay. They expect a full recovery, but he was shot at a party. And, the head coach, Rogers, spent a lot of the night in the hospital with him after his surgery. So a lot of things going on here with Colorado State. They had a team meeting on Sunday morning. Now they have to take to the road. We'll see if any of this has an effect on them. But obviously, the focus could be a little less off of the huge rivalry loss and the way that it happened, and then the incident to one of their own football family. Washington State's depth chart could be problematic as well. They've still got a quarterback experiment going on here. They really didn't know coming into summer practice who the lead was going to be here. They had 3 options. Right now, they've gotten rid of Jackson Potter as that option, and they've gone to Zevi Eckhouse, the senior. We'll see if he can provide a spark. I'm not so sure. They also lose one of their top defensive tackles who came here from South Dakota State with the head coach. So there's a lot of turmoil right now with Washington State. Just 5 games into brand new coaching staff, brand new systems, don't know who our quarterback is, giving up 118 points combined the last 2 weeks. It's tough for them. Colorado State has their own issues at quarterback because they had to bench their 2+ year starter, Braden Fowler Nicolosi, last week mid-game. Just had to bench him. He was not getting it done against UTSA. They brought in freshman Jackson Brousseau. He's a dual threat who sparked the offense. And in fact, for Colorado State, they tied that game against UTSA late, under a minute left. 17-17 tie, penalty on the extra point. Head coach Jay Norvell decides we'll take the point off the board and try for 2. They don't get the 2. They lose Heartbreaking loss for Colorado State, which didn't get to overtime because of the coach's decision. They have to pick themselves back up this week and play against Washington State. Benefit for them. They get to stay home, and they probably are looking for a little redemption here. Everything you hear out of Colorado State this week speaks of desperation in this particular contest. Real quick, we'll take a final look at this one. Like I say, for Washington State, it's all brand new to them. It hasn't worked so far. Last time they went on the road, it was at North Texas, and they got destroyed. Here in Fort Collins, they play a Colorado State team that really is pretty good. They only gave up 2 explosive plays last week to UTSA, which is a really good offense. So the defense is there. The offense is loaded with skill position talent, just that Fowler Nicolosi couldn't bring it out of them. Maybe Brousseau does here. Both teams have played Washington. Real quick, I talked about the Apple Cup and what happened to Washington State. Colorado State went to Seattle, first game of the year, lost 38-21. Statistically, the games look a lot the same. The difference, the margin was different. Colorado State didn't make as many mistakes, didn't allow as many explosives, and they were able to hang within 17. Washington State's had difficulty in both of those areas here. I think, again, the desperation is on the Colorado State side here. They haven't been great to date, but they are a team that's probably better on both sides personnel-wise. So we're going to play Colorado State here to win this one by 6 or better. We got to lay 5.5. It'll be your free play for today. Colorado State minus 5.5. On the way out, I'd like to ask everybody to hit the like button. If you like the free selections and analysis provided here by WagerTalk Handicappers each and every day, click like, click subscribe. Join the 220,000+ people already subscribed to WagerTalk TV. And if you have a comment on this game or any other college football game this Saturday or even Friday night, go ahead and drop it in the comment section. Try to get to them as quickly as I can. For now, this is Rob Veno saying good luck with all your plays. We'll see you next time on WagerTalk TV.
2 of the best college football games we're going to see all season, definitely this month in September. And I've got them both for you with free plays here in this video. We're looking at some top 20 matchups between Oregon, Penn State, and also Alabama, Georgia. Free play with analysis in both games coming up right here, right now. Hi, this is Steve Merrill, WagerTalk.com, right back here on WagerTalk TV. And both these games go at 7:30 Eastern Saturday night, back-to-back on the betting rotation as well. So let's start with the first game listed on the rotation, and it's a good one. One of the best games this season, one of the biggest college football games this season. 2 top 10 teams. Number 6, Oregon, traveling to number 3, Penn State. Penn State getting 5 votes, first-place votes in the AP poll, yet they dropped below Miami of Florida from number 2 down to number 3. They were on their bye last week, didn't do anything wrong, just didn't play. Got leapfrogged by Miami of Florida. They are still number 2 in the coaches poll with 3 first-place votes, and actually Miami of Florida is only 6th in that poll. Oregon is 6th in the AP, 5th in the coaches poll, and they are getting a first-place vote in both of those. So these are 2 highly touted teams. And what are we going to do? Well, we're going to look at the total, and here's the reason. My 10,000 game simulation, first of all, favors Penn State by 4.5 points. Current line is 3.5. So yes, a little bit of value maybe with Penn State. And if it gets down to that key number of 3 or less, there'd be a little bit more. There's about an 8 to 9% chance that the Nittany Lions win this game by exactly 3 points. So at minus 3.5, there's not much difference between my projection of 4.5 and also Oregon a perfect 10-0 straight up since joining the Big Ten Conference, including beating Penn State last year in the championship game last December 7th. Pearl Harbor Day, never forget. Pull out the flag. Boom. Why not? Hey, it's always within striking distance. You know that. But this is a rematch of the Big Ten title game that was, of course, played on the fast track Lucas Field in Indianapolis, and it was a high-scoring game last year. And I look for probably a repeat of that as well. So we're going to stay away from the side in this game and look at the total instead. And I do like over 51.5 in this game. Other spots do have 52 right now on this over-under line as I do this video for you midweek. Now keep in mind, 51 is the key number. About a 3% chance this game lands exactly on 51 points. So I would have liked it more at 51 or less. We'll keep an eye on the total. I doubt it drops. Public will probably be in the over in this as well. These are 2 top 5 defenses. Once again, I rank them both as top 5 defenses, but also rank both offenses in my current top 10 power rankings. As I mentioned, that championship game last year in December, although Penn State lost the game, they did outgain Oregon in total yards, 518 to 466. These teams combined for over 900 yards of total offense, almost 1,000, got up over about 970. Keep in mind, though, Oregon had a 28-10 lead in the second quarter, and then Penn State clawed back. But it was a high-scoring shootout back and forth. And while neither team has played many opponents that have been any good this year, in fact, out of 136 FBS teams, Penn State has played the second easiest schedule on my rankings after their first 3 games. But Oregon hasn't played a much tougher schedule. They're 117th in my rankings as far as schedule strength. So neither team has really been tested, but they both have moved the ball extremely well offensively. Penn State has scored 46, 34, and 52 in their 3 games. And, of course, the Oregon Ducks just put up 41 against Oregon State last week. Only 34 against Northwestern. Their offense wasn't great in that road game. That's the one concern, as that's the only time they've traveled in 4 games this season. And once again, my projection does have Penn State by 4.5 in this one, and it is a playoff revenge spot. But I think the best way to attack it is the over 51.5. I'll look for both offenses to move the ball well in this game, and both defenses, although very strong units, to be a little bit of a disadvantage like we saw in that Big Ten title game a year ago. All right, the other game also at 7:30 Eastern we're going to talk about here is that SEC battle between Alabama and Georgia. And while Georgia's been a strong team in recent years, so has Alabama. And everyone thinks Alabama's on the downturn, but they've still beaten Georgia 4 of the last 5. Nick Saban, of course, had their number 2 years ago with the playoff win as a dog, 5.5-point dog. But DeBoer, last year, first season at Alabama, had their number also. They beat Georgia outright as a 1-point home dog in the middle of the season. And now they're getting 3 points on the road. Let's look at my projection. 10,000 game simulation does on average have Georgia winning by just 1 point at home. So I do think there's value with Alabama at +3 or more. Now it opened 3.5. It's been bet down to that key number of 3. Once again, about an 8 to 9% chance Georgia wins by exactly 3 points. So Bama at +3 or more does have some value as I project just a 1-point win for Georgia in this one. And although Alabama lost to Florida State, they've bounced back. They've put up 101 points in their last 2 games. Solid win against Wisconsin. Both these teams are coming off a bye week, and I think that favors Bama here as they continue to improve after that Florida State loss. And although they lost to Florida State, they had over 330 yards and held what's really looking like a potent Florida State offense to just 31 points. You know, at the time, didn't seem very impressive. Florida State doubling what they scored against all ever FBS teams last year. They scored 16 or less in every FBS game but one last year. But obviously, Florida State's offense is much stronger this year. We talked about that in my Friday night video, which is on WagerTalk TV, UVA and Florida State preview. And the Seminoles did gain about 380 yards that game. But, excuse me, once again, that's not too bad considering how good Florida State has looked since. And I do think Alabama's the better team in this game. And Georgia, while their run defense has been extremely strong this season, pass defense was really suspect against Tennessee a couple weeks ago. That back-to-back 44-41 high-scoring win. Georgia gave up 371 passing yards. And Alabama is becoming more of a pass-based offense the past several years. They're averaging 9.5 yards per pass attempt this year. And Georgia this year has given up over 8 yards per pass in their 3 games. Very weak Georgia pass defense, giving up over 8 yards per pass. I think that's the difference in this one, and that Alabama is able to exploit what looks like a suspect Georgia secondary. And once again, I only favor Georgia by 1 point in this game, so there is value with Alabama at that key number of +3 or more. Both games, 7:30 Eastern for you on Saturday night. And I know you're going to be flipping back and forth. I will as well. These are 2 of the best games of the week, maybe 2 best games of the month. Shoot, maybe 2 of the best games of the season, especially that Oregon-Penn State game. Both teams getting top number 1 votes in both polls. That game's on NBC at 7:30 Eastern. And then ABC has the Alabama-Georgia game. By the way, Bama fell 3 spots in the top 25 poll. They were 14th last week, and they fell to 17th after the bye week. So that might be a little extra fuel in the fire for the Bama Crimson Tide this week as well. Hey, drop in the comments below your thoughts on these 2 games. Sides, total player props. I also take a look at them in my top 25 video along with 6 games in total this week, some additional games, and also 4 head-to-head top 25 matchups. So be sure to check out my top 25 video for a deep dive into all the big games. These are 2 of them, but I got them all in that top 25 video as well here on WagerTalk TV. Click subscribe and click the bell for an instant alert so you never miss out when free play videos are posted right here on the channel. By the way, we hit over 220,000 subscribers this week here on WagerTalk TV. Thank you for each and every one of you for being part of the family. And once again, let's learn and earn and win together. So drop those comments below and let me know which games you like this week in college football, and if you agree or disagree with anything in these Penn State Oregon game, and also the Alabama Georgia game that I just discussed. By the way, if you're liking the free play videos, all I really truly ask is a thumbs up like. It takes 2 seconds. Boom. Smash that thumbs up like you just did it. Much appreciated. And we'll keep these videos coming on a daily basis for both college and pro football, baseball, and college and pro basketball, which is right around the corner. Also, if you'd like to get a bonus free play, I put one up on my page every day, Steve Merrill, WagerTalk.com. Process is very simple. I average maybe 2 to 3 personal best bets per day. If I'm using the game, my paid subscribers get it. Every best bet I'm using, my clients get. Doesn't matter if you have a 1 day, a 1 week, a 1 year subscription. That last cut is still pretty strong. It's a top opinion, and it goes up for free every day with analysis. So check out today's free play right now on my page, and also check out some special promo codes. I've got a 1 month, 3 month, 1 year all access specials. And also, if you want just a 1 day or a 1 week or a 1 month all access, you can save 30% instantly on any access pass this week with promo code ACCESS30, ACCESS30. Promo code ACCESS30 gets you an instant 30% discount on any all access pass from 1 day up to 1 year. And you can use it multiple times. If you want to do the 1 day, you can do it several times this week. No limit. Check it out right now. Steve Merrill, WagerTalk.com, and get that bonus free play and get there quicker. WT.buzz/SM. On the way out, don't forget to follow me on social media at Steve Merrill, 2 R's, 1 L, MERRIL, at Steve Merrill on X and Instagram. And stay tuned here to Wager Talk TV because you know there's more free play videos coming up next.
Kirk Ferentz has been around so long. he's been a coach of Iowa almost as long as I've been in Las Vegas. I moved to Vegas in '98, and I think, was that Ferentz's first year? It was first or second year. This is 27th year on the job right now. And of course, when you know Kirk Ferentz, you know the Iowa football program. He's established a pretty strong identity for Iowa football. The Hawkeyes, home underdogs on Saturday against an Indiana team that just blew the doors off Illinois. How do we bet this one? Let's break it down. Teddy covers, WagerTalk.com, with a big game breakdown. And right now, looking at my Odds Logic live odds screen, I'm seeing Indiana minus 7.5 total, 48.5 for this game. And I'm going to talk about the total here. And it's kind of a scenario where when you know Kirk Ferentz, you're like, ooh, can I really pull the trigger on this? But it's the only way I can play this game. I'm going to look at the over. And we know what Ferentz wants to do against explosive offenses. He wants to slow the game down. But this year's Iowa team is a little bit different, right? The quarterback play has been there for Iowa, at least in early season action. And that's a huge deal when we're talking about a Hawkeyes team that has struggled at the QB position for many years. Mark Gronkowski has looked really good. And you look at the numbers, again, for Iowa right now. Last week, 38 against Rutgers. They moved the ball up and down the field in that ballgame. And again, UMass is scoring 47, no big deal. They ran the football there. But the quarterback play for Iowa right now, there's some bet on there. There's also some bet on for the quarterback play for Indiana. Mendoza is now, I think, one of the Heisman favorites after what he did to Illinois last week, and deservedly so. When we talk about Kirk Cignetti and what he's been able to accomplish in Bloomington in a very short period of time. Again, he got there, he brought in his guys, and everyone expected a big drop-off this year. All right, his guys have come and graduated, and his I win, googly, worked great and took Indiana to unprecedented heights last year. I mean, the Indiana football and the college football playoffs, never heard of such a thing. And Cignetti got them there. And everyone's like, oh, it's going to fall off, All they've done this year is annihilate everybody. And doing it the way they did it last year. An offense that is super aggressive and doesn't stop punching with the lead. And the defense has been solid. Cignetti, after beating Illinois last week, talking about going to Iowa this week on the road, quote, this will be a challenge, a more difficult challenge for the last one, for sure, punching BLM a little bit. That's always good. But it's fun when the college coaches throw shade upon one another. So we know it's going to be a tougher game than it was last week. Certainly Iowa's defense Well, Illinois had played well in terms of creating turnovers. Iowa's defense is going to be better. But again, we're talking about a total of 48 and a half in this game. Before I finish my analysis, I do want to let you know about what's going on right now at WagerTalk.com. Of course, we appreciate the likes. Hit that like button if you like this type of analysis. Follow us on YouTube. That's what I'm looking for. 220,000 of you are now subscribing to the WagerTalk YouTube channel, which is insane. Huge number. Thank you. If you haven't done it, do it now. You get instant alerts every time these videos go live. And of course, comment below. Tell us what you think about this particular matchup on Saturday. Again, top 25 showdown. Huge implications for the Big Ten this year. And everyone's talking about Oregon and Ohio State and Michigan. Well, these two teams lying in the weeds. I know Indiana's not lying in the weeds anymore, but Iowa certainly is. But the bottom line is, comment below. Tell us what you think. Visit my homepage, w.buzz/TC, to get on board. Seeing things pretty clearly. 6-1 weekend in football action last weekend, and the only loss was the frickin' LA Rams, but we're over it. Happens. Sometimes it happens. But anyhow, check out my homepage, wt.buzz/TC, to get on board. So, Ferentz knows what's coming here, all right? You know, and he's certainly talking the talk about trading points with this team. You know, quote, talk about the progress in Gronkowski. You know, there's a lot of verbiage, a lot of things going on. It takes time to acclimatize a little bit. I don't think you minimize it, especially with our offense, and he missed spring ball. So he's getting better week by week. You know, it's hard to find a weakness. It really is. Talking about Indiana now. I'm not saying it's like playing Ohio State, but there are some similarities in my mind. If you look at their offense, they got a big physical offensive line. You know, those three receivers are all good individually, but as a group, it kind of takes you back to Ohio State. Pick your poison. So he knows from a situational standpoint that Iowa is going to have to put points on the board here. He's got a QB that he trusts to do it. It's not like the Hawkeyes defense. You know, for instance, a guy that wants to slow the game down, wants to shorten the game against opposing teams. So I don't love overs generally when Ferentz steps up in class. But I don't know who's stopping Indiana right now. Iowa, when they face the elite receivers, they haven't been able to slow them down. And the only way I could see the Hawkeyes staying in this game is if they can put the biscuit in the basket, put the ball in the end zone, matriculate their way down the field. I'm expecting points. There's no value here laying us more than a touchdown with Indiana on the highway. Not after what they did last week. It's just too much. And I don't know that I trust Iowa as a home dog to hang within the number. I don't. I think they're a little bit outclassed. And then when they're outclassed, Iowa loses. The way to play this one is the over. And you got to go, okay, I know what Ferentz wants to do. In this instance, I think they get to 48.5 or higher. So 49 or higher. So that's my take. Indiana, Iowa, over 48.5. That's your big game breakdown. Top 25 showdown in Oxford on Saturday afternoon. Ole Miss taking on LSU. And my first thought on this game is that there's correlation here. LSU correlates with under. Ole Miss correlates with over. Then I started doing my research on this game. And of course, Google News is still a very powerful tool to find local news sources that are going to give you more accurate information, perhaps, than some of the national news sources. And that research kind of pointed me in a different direction. Let's break it down. Teddy covers WagerTalk.com with a big game breakdown for Saturday afternoon, top 25 LSU and Ole Miss. Right now, look at the Odds Logic live odds screen. Now, I'm seeing the Rebels minus 1.5 at home, total sitting 54.5 for that ball game. And of course, by the way, Odds Logic, it's cool. If you never used a live odds service, check it out. Free 7-day trial. oddslogic.com/Teddy. And of course, again, you play around with it, you'll see why I like it and why it's the fastest growing line service out there. Again, oddslogic.com/Teddy will get you those free live lines and get you a 7-day all access pass. Check it out. It's free. Anyhow, look at the Odds Logic live odds screen. Mississippi's short home favorites, total 54.5. Of course, this game, LSU won last year 29-26 in overtime as home underdogs. The home team was able to win and cover as a dog last year. This year, the home team is a short favorite. But the key to that game, at least in my mind, is how bad Garrett Nussmeier was. And Grant Nussmeier's not a QB who I trust. We look at Ole Miss this season. Nussmeier has not been great, especially in the big games against Clemson. Yeah, he made plays on the road in the second half. LSU still scored 17 points in that game. Not them with the ball up and down the field against Florida either. Really, those two marquee victories, offense didn't work that well. Really didn't. So LSU is obviously a team loaded on the defense side of the football. But I don't know that I trust Nussmeier against Ole Miss, and I certainly don't know that I trust this offense right now to move the football up and down the field against a Rebels team that's in revenge. And of course, you start going on Google News, and what's the big story? Nothing about the game. Everything about Whit Weeks, the junior linebacker from LSU, talking about how he's squonking on how he's dating. Sorry, let's not assume anything. How he's dating Lane Kiffin's daughter, which, those are the type of stories that you don't want to put too much emphasis on, even though it's headline after headline after headline with this. But, is that extra motivation for Ole Miss? No. For Kiffin, maybe. It's a funny story. It has nothing to do with the handicap of the game. What does have to do with the handicap of the game is the fact that the Rebels defense just held Jake Retzlaff to 5 completions for 56 yards last week. All right. That is meaningful for this content. And of course, last time these two teams played in Oxford, it was pretty much a track meet, Jaden Daniels hung 49 points to 637 yards on the home team, and that wasn't good enough to win the game because Ole Miss had 56 points and 706 yards of total offense. So last year's meeting, more defensive-minded, went into overtime. The meeting before on this field, a high-scoring shootout that went back forth. And of course, there's no Jaden Daniels for either team at QB this week. I'm not sold on Nussmeier. I'm not. And that, to me, is the basis of this handicap. So before I go any further, I do want to ask you guys for one simple favor. If you like these breakdowns, hit that like button. Done. Thank you. Makes all the difference in the YouTube algorithm. So likes matter. Thank you for liking this video. Comment below. Tell us what you think about this SEC showdown on Saturday. And of course, if you haven't done so already, more than 220,000 of you are now following us on YouTube. WagerTalk TV. If you haven't done so, follow us today. You'll get instant alerts every time ththese videos go live. Do want to let you know about what's going on my homepage, wt.buzz/TC. Had a real good weekend last weekend. 6-1 in football action. The only loser. Yeah, I had fun with the LA Rams. That was the fun. That was my only loser in football all weekend. So we'll take it, and we're over it. But yeah, still, you know how it is. That's the only thing that kept me from a 7-0. That said, we're seeing things pretty clearly right now. Check out my homepage, wt.buzz/TC. Get on board. I would say don't buy a play, buy a package. I know buying picks is not for everyone, but it is for some people. And if you want to get on board, now's a real good time. Don't buy a play, get a package, weekend, weekly, monthly, seasonal, however you decide that you want to get on board. But let's partner up this football season. Again, wt.buzz/TC. So we have this Lane Kiffin reputation of these crazy wild shootouts. But Ole Miss's defense has been pretty darn good this year. Revenge for an OT loss. They've got a linebacker on the other team who's dating the coach's daughter. A lot of things pointing toward the Rebels. And of course, the issue for Ole Miss, or at least the headline today was, quarterback Austin Simmons is out. Well, Simmons started the first 2 games of the season against Georgia State and Kentucky. And then Trinidad Chambliss kind of took over. He threw for 353 yards against Arkansas, led the team in rushing in that step up in class game. And of course, last week, he was behind center as well. So the fact that Simmons is out, and of course, the pointer didn't move when that came announced. Not any big deal at all. One QB, one mobile QB who's in good current form. I'll take my chances with the Rebels here. So yes, maybe there's a little correlation still between the over and Ole Miss. I don't know that it's that strong. Ole Miss, -1.5. Ole Miss money line, if you'd rather do it that way. It's the only way I can play this one. And forget the correlation. Ole Miss might well correlate with the under as well, given LSU's early offensive struggles. Thank you so much for watching Wager Talk TV. We appreciate those likes. We appreciate those follows in the comments. Check out my homepage, wt.buzz/TC. Just visit WagerTalk.com and stay tuned right here on this channel for more quality video content. Have a great betting weekend. Cheers.
Big game this Saturday in the SEC between Auburn and Texas A&M. You know, the Auburn Tigers played their way out of the top 25 last week with their loss against Oklahoma, a narrow 7-point loss. They were ranked 22nd in the AP. They were ranked 25th in the coaches poll. They're now on the outside looking in. In fact, they're exactly the 26th team right now in the AP poll, the first team getting the most additional votes. So if they can pull the upset in College Station, they'll be ranked again. But Texas A&M coming off a bye week. Which team has the edge? Well, I think there is an edge in this game. There's one team that's getting several points of line value as well. Free play with analysis. Auburn, Texas A&M coming up right now. Hi, it's Steve Merrill, WagerTalk.com, right back here on Wager Talk TV. And this game's at 3:30 Eastern, Saturday afternoon on ESPN. As I mentioned, unranked, technically number 26, Auburn, traveling to face number 9 ranked Texas A&M, who's off to a fantastic 3-0 start. They also have the bye week to recover after their upset road win at Notre Dame. You know, this early in the season, you don't necessarily need your bye week coming in after just 3 games in the year, but I do think it came at a pretty good time for Texas A&M since they had the nice 41-40 high-scoring shootout win against Notre Dame 2 weeks ago as a 6-point dog. Meanwhile, Auburn probably could use the bye week. 4 straight games. They started with 3 straight wins, but then that tough 7-point loss at Oklahoma last week also has about a 6.5-point dog. And I do think it could linger a little bit in this game. And Auburn's rushing attack really struggled last week against Oklahoma with just 67 yards on 35 carries. A&M was run against by the Texas San Antonio Roadrunners, beat back in week 1. Been a little bit better since then. Held Notre Dame in check, 147 rushing yards on 38 carries. But the matchup that jumps out to me in this game is A&M's passing offense and their ability to extend the lead in the second half. Auburn's been suspect so far on offense this season. I saw that last week, just 17 points against what I think is a very good, by the way, Oklahoma defense. And I did mention that in my top 25 video last week, that I thought this is maybe the best Sooners defense in the past decade. But I also think they might be a little beaten up because of that. And they're facing a really good Texas A&M aerial attack that's averaging over 320 passing yards a game, over 9 yards per pass attempt. And if you look at Auburn's defensive numbers, they've been fantastic against the run this year, 1.9 yards per rush allowed. But they've been very mediocre against the pass, giving up almost 7.5 yards per pass. That's been the weakness, and that's the Texas A&M strength. And then on top of that, I think we get some line value as well. My 10,000 game simulation has Texas A&M winning this game on average by about 11.5 points. Current line is 6.5. The look-ahead line this summer was 6.5. We did see this open 7.5. A little bit of money come in on Auburn, down to 6.5, just like that Oklahoma game last week. I told you there was about a 4 to 5% chance that the Sooners win by exactly 7, so I liked them at 6.5 or less. Same situation here, about a 4 to 5% chance A&M wins this game by exactly that key number of 7. So at minus 6.5 or less, which is the current line midweek as I do this video, I like Texas A&M as I project an 11.5-point win on Saturday afternoon, 3:30 Eastern on ESPN. Hey, what are your thoughts on this game? Side, total, how are you attacking it? What other games do you like this Saturday? Drop them in the comments below. I do read the comments and I reply back. Let's learn and earn and win together here on Wager Talk TV. And if you're liking these free play videos, I will keep them coming on a daily basis. All I ask is a thumbs up like. Smash it. Boom. Takes 2 seconds to click that thumbs up like, and it goes a long way to keep videos plentiful and free here on Wager Talk TV. By the way, we hit over 220,000 subscribers this week here on Wager Talk TV. Thank you for being one of them. Just double check. Maybe you forgot to hit subscribe. I'm sure most of you already have. But also consider clicking that bell as well. You'll get an instant alert when my free play videos are posted each and every day for both college and pro football throughout the week, baseball on a daily basis, also college and pro basketball, which is right around the corner. Subscribe and click that bell for free play alerts each and every day here on Wager Talk TV. By the way, if you'd like to try my personal best bets, now is a great time to do so. Promo code ACCESS30 gets you an instant 30% discount on any Access Pass this week. You get a 1 day, a 1 week, a 1 month, even a 1 year, and save 30% instantly. You got to use promo code ACCESS30, ACCESS30. ACCESS30 gets it done on any all sports package, whether it's a 1 day all the way up to a 1 year. Save big right now with promo code ACCESS30 on my page, Steve Merrill, WagerTalk.com. And hey, get there quicker with shortcut WT.buzz/SM. And while you're there, check out the daily bonus free play. It's quite simple. The last cut from my best bet card goes up as a free play for everybody every day with analysis. So go get today's free play and check out those special offers. We have some other specials as well. A 1 month, I think there's a 3 month up there, even a 1 year discount. And then, of course, you can pick and choose which all access you want with ACCESS30, an instant 30% discount. A lot of special offers. You don't have to memorize them. They're all listed on my page now, along with today's best bets. And most importantly, that bonus free play for everyone on my page right now with analysis. Steve Merrill, WagerTalk.com. Get there quicker. WT.buzz/SM. On the way out, don't forget to follow me on social media at Steve Merrill, 2 R's, 1 L, MERRIL, at Steve Merrill on X and Instagram. And stay tuned, as you know, there are more free play videos coming up next right here on WagerTalk TV.
Welcome.
Welcome in to Wager Talk's Last Call. I am Kev lineup for you guys today. We're going to start off with Gianni The Greek. We've got Ralph Michaels, Steve Merrill, and Kyle Anthony, if he can find the login link, might join us to talk about UFC Perth. We're going to find out today. Up next on Last Call. I've got the needs from the Westgate Superbook we'll get to here in a minute. But first, I want to hear from VR. I know he's got a busy day ahead of him. He's got a new background. It looks beautiful there in Las Vegas. Welcome in. Good morning, VR. Always appreciate you hanging out with us here early on the West Coast. VR, we got you muted. Let me get you unmuted there. Nope, we still muted. We gotta redo that. I don't know how you got muted, but I can't unmute you. I apologize. For some reason on the back end, I can't do that. It's in the bottom corner there for you. Hit the mic button. While VR is doing that, guys, while we get him unmuted, I'm gonna read you guys some of the sharp stuff here from the Westgate Superbook. We'll go right into it. And I'm gonna say right now, I love this first one from Art at the Westgate. Iowa is going to be a big need. Iowa, if you guys remember, is in my 3-team money line parlay for today. I am very excited about this Iowa team. I think this is a really great spot for them and their defense to maybe stifle that freight train that is Indiana. They also need Central Michigan, Kansas, Oklahoma State. Remember, they just fired their head coach, Mike Gundy. And this one surprised me. He said they are going to need Georgia. He said some sharp plays that are worth noting. Bowling Green that got bet at +10. Pittsburgh +4.5. Minnesota -4.5, now up to -5.5. New Mexico got steamed, -14 up to 15.5. And Marshall was a pick. The 3 public plays of the day over at the Westgate Superbook. USC, glad to hear that because we've got Illinois in our 3-team money line parlay as well. LSU going to be interesting. I did play Ole Miss in a couple of my Westgate college football contests, and then Notre Dame, interesting one there. I liked Arkansas early in the week and missed the number there, so I elected to stay off. And Art says his best bet today is Hawaii, and he even included the cute little rainbow emoji with the football. All right, VR, I think you are unmuted. You are ready to go.
Should be good to go.
Brand new setup. I know you just moved in the last 48 hours since I saw you.
I have a task rabbit lady coming over to organize the room later today. So
that is a wonderful idea. I think you got way too much stuff going on. So we're going to let you do what you do best and tell us all of the stuff that you've seen so far for this week in college football.
Thank you, Kel. I'll dive right in. I know you just talked about Pittsburgh. They're getting hit right now. Be cautious because I saw two-way action on that earlier in the week. And Pittsburgh seems to be the public side I'm seeing in the back end as well. Now, some of the higher marquee games that I know everybody's interested in, Alabama and Georgia. Here's what I got there. Alabama got steamed at +3. Alabama also got steamed on the money line. Penn, and also the under 53 as well. So they're on Alabama and they're on the under in that game. Penn State, Oregon, they laid the 3.5 with the Penn State side. Mississippi, we talked about that. Mississippi got bet on the money line. I saw more money line sharp action than actually on the point spread on the Mississippi side. So as far as the big games go, that's what we're seeing there. Now, some of the other steam plays we could talk about. Ohio State, and I know it looks public as well because they're teasing it. They're money line parlaying it as well. But I did see Ohio State get bet by betting syndicates as well, and they went under 52 in the Ohio State and Washington game. I personally think Ohio State's the best team in college football. A couple more college football moves for you. 125 under 64.5. Notre Dame, Arkansas under 64.5. I'm seeing one-sided public money over. They are blindly betting that one over, and you're seeing a lot of sharp bettors picking off any rogue numbers to go under in that Notre Dame Arkansas game. Stanford -1.5 and 2. Colorado late game picking off 7s. So you're seeing one-sided action on the favorite there. That's why you're seeing 6.5. But they know they could limit risk. All they have to do is go to 7. There'll be more than enough sharps there ready to grab it with Colorado. So pay attention to the odds logic screen, or like I said, at the very least, the WagerTalk screen to see what the books are doing with that game. Arkansas State, I'm sure others spoke about that. They got steamed from 4, 3.5, 3. So Arkansas State getting a lot of love. Memphis -13. And like I always do, one added game over 47.5 and 48. Stetson and Dayton And that's, pretty much it. I mean, there's a lot of college football, but those are confirmed without resistance, not scalpable, not being set up for any middles or anything like that.
All right, Vera, let's take a couple of questions here from the audience. Jacob McNeil wants to know, what are you seeing on the Texas A&M Auburn game? Any sharp-sided action? I know Marco gave out Texas A&M. He said it was his trap game this week on the college football edition of Bet on It. I kind of leaned Auburn, but back-to-back road games kind of enough to push me away. I did end up playing them in a couple of college contests. Your thoughts on this game, or have you seen anything prominent in the back ends?
No, I haven't seen any sharp action. I'm even looking again now and hadn't seen anything on that side. I did see the under. The under gets steam from a group, and that's opposite the public too. That the one-sided action that sticks out on that game is over money from the public. I'm seeing good two-way action. You're always going to get a little heavier money on the favorite, especially when you add in money line parlays, when you add in teasers, but nothing really sticking out except for that over from the public, sharp under from the wise guys.
All right. I know tomorrow you're going to have a edition of the Steam Room out. Can you promote that before we take a couple more of these questions?
Absolutely. We are going to go live that final hour heading into NFL games. I'm going to go through every NFL game as quickly as possible to share sides, totals, props. We get live bets coming in, and more importantly, we put in those teasers about 15 minutes to kick off. We're 7-1 on those teasers through 3 weeks of the NFL season. Currently number 1 in NFL in the regular season. I feel really good about week 3 card. Feel good about today's college card. Hopefully we're discussing a big day Saturday tomorrow in the Steam Room. Make sure you join us. It will be free, and I'll answer all your questions. We'll talk risk management. We'll go over year-to-date results and all that good stuff. Again, it'll be 12 noon, but first I'll be on here at about 11 a.m. Eastern going over last call with you guys as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Ariel will be back hosting tomorrow, so you can catch VR up first with her here, as well as John Murray, Carmine Bianco, going over all that NFL slate. Now, Lou wants to know my thoughts on K-State. We'll get to those questions here later on with Ralph.
I'm seeing a lot of K-State love.
Fine, we'll talk about it. Let's talk about it. So I have a lot of buddies, and I tweeted this the other night when we were watching the Army ECU game. I'm like, K-State lost to this offense? Like, this is just a dreadful offense. Yes, the defensive side of Army held the ball for 90% of the second half. That is something that did happen. Yes, there was a wonky touchdown that got called back. There was a lot of weird things that happened in that game, but the reality is I don't think this K-State team is tough. And I had a buddy go, well, Chris Kleiman's fighting for his job. No, he's not. He's best friends with the athletic director. And that's probably not something I should say that would benefit me to say out to 1,500 people watching live, but that is the reality. So if you guys are betting on Kansas State today because you think that they're due for a bounce back after a bye, I think that's the wrong move. If you guys are betting on K-State today because you think their coach is in the hot seat, that's also another wrong move. I'll tell you this. I do think K-State is a much better team than we've seen, but so was Florida State last year, who ended up finishing the season 2-10. The Dublin Aer Lingus curse is real. I am convinced this is not a good spot because UCF just had a tragic medical emergency. I believe it was a heart attack with one of their coaches. They're going to come out and play just as hard. So we can argue both sides of the coin here. I thought 6 was a completely egregious number. Now we're seeing it down to 5. VR, you're saying a lot of people are on K-State, and I'm not really understanding it.
Yeah, seeing in the back end, like recreational accounts, it's all one-sided. Like I'm surprised. I lost with K-State a couple weeks ago. I kind of been downgrading, but I wanted your opinion on that. Real quickly, I just got to second what Emmanuel say. You look absolutely stunning today, just real bright.
You know what it is? Every time I'm at my dad's house,
really good look.
I have a different ring light. Maybe this is the ring. Maybe this is the
lighting.
I should
Yeah. It looks absolutely stunning.
Thank you, VR. I appreciate that.
You're very welcome.
Let's see what else we've got here. Any other questions? Yes.
Someone asked about Tennessee, Mississippi State game.
Yep.
Here's what I'll tell you. You're seeing that line drop. Where it sits now, I like Tennessee or pass. I get it if you got an early number on the home dog, but I think it's just dropped too significantly for me. I haven't touched the game, but I think it's a favorite or pass situation right now.
All right. anything else you want to go over, VR, before we let you go? I know you got a busy Saturday ahead.
Yeah, no, I'm just really excited, honestly, about today's card. I love the college football board. I'm a little lower volume this week, was able to narrow down some really strong plays. I love the UFC card. I got 4% and a couple 3% in there as well. And hopefully we cheer in a winning Saturday and roll that in the Sunday NFL. Real good card. Join me for the steam room. Best of luck to you all today. Thank you again, Kel, for having me on. And hope the whole Wager Talks team does some damage today.
Absolutely. We are here to do some damage. We're going to answer all your college football questions here with Ralph Michaels up next. We'll bring him in. And then, of course, we've got Steve Merrill. And he can find the link. We're going to let Kyle in. But if he can't find the link, no UFC today. Not my deal. Ralph Michaels is laughing because he knows I run a tight ship over here at Wager Talk. And of course, I'm sitting on a tall stool and the guy that's 6'6" is sitting on a small stool. So we look completely opposite heights right now. But Ralph Michaels, welcome in. How's your college football season been? We haven't talked except for that you sent me that we may be opposite on a play, and I'll leave that to promote because it's your 5% play, and I was not very happy with that. And Ralph is muted too. We got everybody muted this morning. I appreciate them muting themselves in the background because that is one of my rules. It's like when you're not on air, you have to mute yourself. So at least they listen on that front.
We are back. Number 2 in college football since the start of 2024 behind Mr. Boss Benjamin. So him and I have been battling the entire time. 11-6 this year. So very excited. I do have a 5% since the start of last year. I've had 6 5% in college football, perfect 6-0. I've got a weird stat for you, Kelly. Not a weird stat, but when a team is playing UCF off a loss, like Kansas State is, they're 16-1 against the spread. So, they've been beaten up. It's sort of random because it's over 3 years, but just something to throw out there for you.
Hey, that's not a bad stat. Listen, I'm not cheering against my team. I'm just trying to be a realist, which I think every sports handicapper should be a realist about what their team is going through, any drama, any BS. And those things are occurring right now, right? Like the wheels have kind of fallen off there in Manhattan, Kansas, whether people want to admit it or not. All right, Ralph and I are going to get into some of these college football questions. Ralph, we finished over here with a question from JoJo before finding out with VR about Mississippi State, Tennessee. Mississippi State was real close. Well, not real close, but they were pretty far down on my list. I thought, all right, I'm looking for those outright underdogs. Can I make a case for this Mississippi State team? Kind of break down what you think about Tennessee, Mississippi State, and whether you think it's worth a wager or if at this point in time it's worth a pass.
Oh, I like Mississippi State, Kelly. First of all, we have a situation that is 82% against the spread. And what is that situation? When a conference home dog is on a win streak of 4 or more games, they are 80% against the spread. That's a pretty amazing number when you think about it. And people talk about Mississippi State and some of the defenses in the SEC. Mississippi State has played a very weak schedule, no question. Southern Miss, Arizona State, Alcorn State, Northern Illinois. So all you could do is play the schedule that you were given. They have held all 4 opponents to a season low. So even though you played crappy competition, you still did your job against that crappy competition. When I look at Tennessee's defense, allowing 502 yards to Georgia scares the heck out of me. Allowing the 377 yards to Syracuse scares me. Their defense is actually number 62 when you take what their defense has done against the opponent's rest of their averages. To me, I wouldn't be surprised if this is an outright upset. I am with you on the Bulldogs.
Ooh, okay. That might have just been enough to get me to the window to add them to the list. Truth be told, Ralph, I have stopped betting a lot earlier in the week. Years past, I was always betting Mondays, Tuesdays. This year, I was like, every single game I have beat the market on, it hasn't mattered. Every single game that I got the worst of the number, I end up doing well, whether it was Vandy or Maryland, whatever. It's just been kind of an interesting year. So I may add them even no longer at 7.5 to my list. All right, Ralph, you have a 5% play up at WagerTalk. Let everybody know what that, well, you can't tell them what that is, but you get the idea. Let everybody know where they can get it.
Well, again, number 2 in college football since the start of last year, and it's a no-brainer. Whether you are going to sign up for me, VR, Steve Merrill, the Weekend Warrior is the only way to go. We started it 3 weeks ago. We were impressed with the numbers. Last week, it almost doubled. I'm expecting it to double again, and why wouldn't it? My 5% is $35, or you can get all of my Saturday college football, all of my Sunday NFL, and if I have an NFL play on Monday, you'll get that as well for just $14 more than the price of that 5%. You still got an hour. Actually, I think you got a couple hours. I don't believe I have a noon game today, so you got a couple hours to get me. You've got about 6 or 7 hours before my 5% goes, so plenty of time to jump in on the Weekend Warrior.
All right, Jeff Schroeder has a question, and I'll take the reins on it. I need someone to talk me off IU today. Iowa looks like Illinois to me, and I think Signetti will absolutely roll them 3-0 as road favorites last year. Ralph, this is one of my favorite bets this week. I do like Iowa. I mentioned just a minute ago, Art DeCesar from the Westgate Superbook said that the Westgate will need them. I'll go back over those needs after we get done with Ralph as well. And so that just kind of gave me even the extra confident push to say, all right, Iowa has a real opportunity to win this game outright. They've been holding their opponents to less than 14.5 points per game. This is where, an immovable force meets an immovable force, right? Offense versus defense. Kind of break down this game for me. I'm curious to see if we agree.
Well, number one, you have to remember this. Playing at home in the biggest game maybe of your biggest regular season game of your lifetime, last week against Illinois in that primetime game, blowing it out. And now what do? You have to go on the road against a very good defense for your first road game of the year. Last year, we know how good Indiana was. And what did they do their first road trip? Well, they won significantly, but it was at UCLA. Then they go to Northwestern, and then they go to Michigan State. So they didn't play a team that had a winning record on the road until they went to Ohio State and lost by 23, and then at Notre Dame losing by 10 in the playoffs. You look at Iowa. I was on Iowa last week, and boy, did Gronkowski ever get bashed. Against Albany, he was 9 of 16 for 48 yards. Against Iowa State, they had 83 yards passing. The light bulb clicked, guys. Against UMass, they put up 435 yards. He was 21 of 31. And then last week at Rutgers, he was 12 of 18, 186. Remember, Mark Gronkowski started 55 games at South Dakota State. This isn't like a true freshman that started the season. He just struggled the first couple games in the office. This Iowa team is completely different with an offense that can score points. And then you look at their defense. They held Iowa State to a season low. They held UMass to a season low. They held Rutgers 61 yards per game under what their average is. And on the season, they are number 11 in the NFL on defense, holding their opponents under their average. I can't talk you off the Indiana, Kelly, because I'm with you on Iowa as well.
Very, very, very happy to hear that, Ralph. We're going to take a few more questions. We got about 10 minutes left with Ralph before Steve Merrill gets in here. So Kentucky at USC, rain in the forecast, Cats with the strong run, Cox weak defending the run, money line on Kentucky. I'm going to take the reins on this one because it is in my 3-team money line parlay. I liked Kentucky here, and hand up, I've been betting against South Carolina all season long. Here's the reality. I feel like that Virginia Tech game right out of the gate got a little wonky, defensive score, special teams, those things tend to skew the point spread. Then I looked at it and said, all right, what's the real problem here? And that was before the Vandy game. And I said, oh my gosh, it's Mike Shula. Mike Shula is running this offense into the ground. You have Lenora Sellers, yet you have the worst third down every single time, 9.41 yards. That is the worst in college football that they're averaging on third down. Thank God for Lenora Sellers. Hopefully for me, he does not run all over the place this weekend, but knowing me, he probably will. All right, let's see if there's any interesting questions here. Any thoughts on Appalachian State? Here's an interesting game. Ralph, I've kind of stopped following the Mountain West. Boise State was one of those Mountain West powerhouses, but since I left Las Vegas, the Mountain West just hasn't really been on my radar. This is a pretty sizable point spread for a Boise State team that we've kind of seen not really perform like we expected them to, right? Remember, they were the team out of the game of 5 that was supposed to get into the college football playoff.
Yeah, aren't they almost always the favorite going into the preseason? You look at the USF game, and of course we saw USF play well for a couple more weeks after that, and they had a 6-yard edge, but they really did. The USF game was not as bad of a loss as the score indicated because they were -3 turnovers. Then they play Eastern Washington and Air Force. So, you see an offense that's averaging 536 yards, but the App State defense, we really don't know how good it is. On paper, you look at App State's defense and you're going to say, wow, they're allowing 274 yards per game and only 2.1 yards per carry. You have a defensive dog getting over 3 scores. How can you not back them? Well, I can tell you why you don't back them. Their games are Charlotte, Lindenwood, and Southern Miss. And oh yeah, by the way, against Southern Miss, they ended up losing that game as a sizable favorite, 38-22. So to me, it's a game that I just don't know what I'm going to take. I'm going to watch and learn. I have no interest betting this Boise State team coming off a Air Force win on the road and a road game against Notre Dame on deck. So the situation says App State. But again, against this week of a schedule, and Gillen and Swan combined are still only throwing for under 60%. Now they're playing this defense. So no real opinion on the side, but I cannot get to Boise State because of the scheduling spot. I could say this probably could have been Marco's sandwich game of the week between a conference road game, Air Force, and a road game against Notre Dame.
Very, very good point. There's a couple other sandwich spots too. I think it's Utah State, I saw on Twitter, is also in one of those spots. So that's a very good point there, Ralph. All right, I might have to add that one to my list to look at as well. Let's go to Crypto Parlay God. He wants to know if you like Iowa State or Duke today. Ralph, I looked at Arizona, I had them on my long list as well. I know Marco broke them down on Bet on It. It was a spot where he thought they were a barking dog. I blinked, it went to 4.5. I said, all right, maybe this is just something I can just play stale in the contest.
Well, when you look at injuries, major injuries in college football, and, don't discount this. Angeli's loss to Syracuse it could be as big as any loss of any quarterback. I mean, he was that important to that team the way they got started. 377 yards at Tennessee is a very good game. 461 against Connecticut, 600 against Colgate. But, you saw last week against Clemson, 433 yards. So, Ricky Collins comes in. Now, I don't mind taking over for an injured quarterback the first game. I do truly believe in the injury system. When your superstar or best player gets hurt, your team rallies. We often see defenses rise to the occasion. Even though their defense isn't good, allowing 455 yards, they've given up. They've been shredded over the passing game. They allowed 664 yards the last 2 weeks to Colgate and to Clemson, and we know how bad Clemson's offense has been. You look at the Duke defense, not impressed at all, allowing 535 yards last week to NC State. They were 4 turnovers, +4. Any college team that's +4 turnovers is going to win the game. That's the reason they won that game. They also lost the game against Illinois because they were -5 turnovers. So this line adjustment to me is too high in this situation with Duke being a road favorite. Remember, they went to Tulane. They couldn't win in that situation. I actually do lean Syracuse here.
Ooh, that's a really interesting dynamic. I always forget about the injured player theory because I don't know how to quantify it, so it makes it a little difficult, but you're right. It is a good situation, and maybe his injury is getting just a little overblown. All right, we're going to take a couple more questions for Ralph before Steve Merrill comes in. Kyle Anthony, I just logged in. He's waiting in the wings. So if you guys have a UFC question, make sure you guys drop it in the chat. This game is disgusting, but why is Northwestern -6.5 against a more talented UCLA team that just fired their coach? Ralph, this is always one of those interesting thoughts. Art Caesar sent me the list. Oklahoma State was on there. I'm like, of course we want to play Oklahoma State after they just fired Gundy. So why would we not want to play UCLA after they just fired their coach?
I'm looking. My power ratings actually have Northwestern only by 4, but it's a situation where I can't back UCLA. No way. I actually lean Northwestern. With my power ratings that far off, I usually always lean with that team, but in this case, I can't. Why? Well, because you have a team that traveled to UNLV, gave up 30 points, and lost by 7. Then they lose to New Mexico, and now they're traveling again to Northwestern. The Northwestern team, you go to Tulane and you lose. Was it a bad loss? Yeah. But again, they were -5 turnovers. You guys got to remember, if a team is not completely turnover prone, you basically have to throw out a game, the stats, when you're -5. You just can't get anything going turning the ball over. The next week against Western Illinois, they do well. Last week against Oregon, yes, they lost 34-14. I think Oregon is a top 2 or 3 team in the country, no question. They were only outgained by 60 yards, and they were -1 turnover. But they rushed for 178 yards and 4.8 yards per carry. Why does that matter? Well, let's see. UCLA's rush defense is allowing 244 yards per game, 5.5 yards per carry. Any offense that can run the ball against this type of defense is going to look much better, even if Preston Stone is completing under 60% so far this year with a 3-6 ratio. When play action is working and you can run the ball, Hinnon has a 4.9 YPA. Porter has a 7.6 YPA. Northwestern wins and covers this game.
All right, we got a couple more questions here in the chat. Jake wants to know what my 3-team money line parlay is. Jake, come on. You can't go to my Instagram and watch the video for me. We put in so much work over there on that. I already gave you guys 2 of the legs. So if you've been paying attention, you know what it is. Let's see. Any other questions from the chat? Let's go BYU Colorado. Ralph, here was a spot where I had Colorado kind of circled and I thought, all right, we're going to look at Colorado a little bit better. And then see the face you just made? Kind of made the same face. I was like, oh, do I really? I can bet some stinky underdogs, but I don't know if I can bet that bad of underdogs. BYU has looked all right in some of their road starts here this season, where I thought maybe they would falter. ECU last week, I thought, hey, this is a bad spot for BYU. Nope, they got the job done. Talk to me about Colorado BYU. I know that John Murray did tell me, let's see, BYU took some sharp action early in the week on Tuesday.
I'm looking something up, Kel, and I will say this. So many of us remember Colorado last year and the offense they had. Well, right now, Kelly, they are number 115 in plays per game run. Last week against Wyoming, they ran the ball 31 times. They passed 28. That is 59 plays. At Houston, they ran the ball 23 times, 58 plays. The week before against Delaware, they did open up the pass game just to get the quarterbacks a little bit of experience. But I look at BYU's defense. They allowed 404 yards to East Carolina on the road last week in that 34-13 win because they were +2 turnovers. But knowing they allowed 404 yards is one thing. But when you look at East Carolina, that is actually 78 yards per game less than East Carolina is averaging. So they've held all 3 foes to a season low. They run the ball much more than they pass. They're running the ball 123 times this year, passing for 71. Colorado's pace is slow. BYU's pace is slow. Only way I go in this game is under. And in this case, I think it's going to be a close conference game early on. I would prefer under first half in this matchup.
All right, under first half for Ralph. We're going to let Ralph get out of here. He's got a busy Saturday, hopefully laying by the pool and enjoying himself. I hope catching some college football winners. Ralph, really quick before we let you go, can you let everybody know about the Weekend Warrior over at WagerTalk.com?
Again, Weekend Warrior, $49. All of Saturday college football, all of Sunday NFL. Plus, if you have a Monday night NFL play, it gets added. One important note I want to add, it's only $49. Any capper, it's available for anyone. But if you are waiting to next week to sign up for it, sign up at the beginning of the week, guys. So as soon as we load the plays, you get them. You don't have to wait till Saturday. If you buy it on Tuesday and I start releasing my games on Tuesday, you'll get those plays with the lines that I want you to bet them at immediately. So next week on the Weekend Warrior, do not wait till the end of the week. Find out who you want to sign up for, grab them early, and make sure you take advantage of those of the best lines available.
Ralph is the best at Cal Sports LV over on social media. If you guys are looking for any other extra trends and angles, you guys can also go ahead, Ralph.
I was just going to say, tell Kyle Anthony congratulations for finding the link. I know it's going to be an exciting day for him.
He's waiting in the wings, but first we're going to bring in Steve Merrill. Also, WT.buzz/RM is Ralph's homepage over there on WagerTalk.com. If you are looking for that 5% play of his Let me actually do one quick thing before we bring in Steve Merrill. I'm going to read you guys the good old Westgate Superbook needs once again, just for you guys. Art said they're going to need Iowa. They're going to need Central Michigan. They're going to need Kansas, Oklahoma State, and Georgia. The public is on USC, LSU, and Notre Dame. And Art's best bet is Hawaii, +7. All right, let's bring in Steve Merrill. He's filling in for Art today at last minute. I appreciate Steve, as always, coming in. We saw each other yesterday. We had an extended version of Wager Talk today. So lots of Steve and Kelly today. Steve, we're going to get right into this action. Lots of people have questions. Let's talk about Arkansas Notre Dame. That is the game that I think is maybe getting a little too overblown. Now, I considered Arkansas for my 3-team money line parlay. I did. I thought, okay, let's look and see if the Hogs can bounce back. Marco gave out Memphis last week in a sandwich spot. And I thought, can Memphis win the game? And they looked ugly mid-third quarter. And all of a sudden, here comes Memphis. And then Arkansas does what they do, and they turn the ball over in the red zone. Notre Dame, their defense has some real issues here. Talk to me about Arkansas Notre Dame, Steve.
Yeah, first of all, I hosted yesterday for the first time with you as the guest. Now we've gone back to normal. Things are normal again. The host has become the hostess. No, that's not right. Anyway, the interviewer has become the interviewee. This is a game I haven't talked about this week on any videos or shows, so I'm glad you brought it up. It is one of the better games. It's an early game here at noon Eastern on ABC National TV. You know, I talked about this with the Chiefs game yesterday in the Ravens. I always kind of look to play against the Super Bowl loser. Historically, almost half the time they don't even make the playoffs. Where I think we could take that same angle in recent years with the national championship loser. You know, you saw TCU have that regression. Washington had a losing season last year. They regressed. So Notre Dame would fit the bill this year. They had that tough week 1 game, and then they had a little bit of a fortunate game against Texas A&M. That was a tough game as well. I think this is a play against team this year, so I have no problem taking Arkansas right now. I'm calling for the outright upset, actually. I think the Hogs win this one straight up at noon Eastern, and that goes off in about a half hour. Not a game I touched on, but Notre Dame, I think, is a bit overrated this season. I think Arkansas may be a little bit underrated for the reasons you mentioned.
Yep, I'm with you. I do think that Notre Dame is a little bit overhyped. Rob has a question about the Westgate needs. Is it based off sharp action or public action? I think it's based off total money. So
Right.
Whether they've got a lot of sharp money bet on one side, whether they've got a lot of public action bet on the other, I think it is a base overall need. It will be a bigger win for them up at that point in time. So, for example, they need Georgia. I've seen a lot of books online say they need Alabama. So kind of take that with what you guys will. I'm happy that they need Iowa. I always do love being against the whole world. And of course, the whole world is going to be on Indiana. Let's talk about Washington. Mel wants to know about Washington. This is a game I feel like should be a more marquee game, but it's kind of really flying under the radar, Steve, because we have such a great slate of games. Ohio State, 8.5-point favorite, down to 8 over there at Washington. Kind of one of those spots where we don't see Ohio State falter often, but do you think they may have trouble with the Huskies?
So I did a standalone video for this game. It's a 3:30 Eastern mid-afternoon game. So deep dive available here on WagerTalk TV. And I was conflicted on this one. I do think Ohio State's as good as anybody in the country. And I mentioned how Washington regressed last year. They had that 6-7 season after making the national finals. For that reason, though, I think they could be an upside. You know, we saw TCU do that the year before. As I also mentioned, they actually played better since. The problem is I do think Ohio State's the better team, the much better offensive team. My 10,000 game simulation favors Ohio State by only 6 in this game. So at the current line of 8, as you mentioned, I do think there is some line value with the home dog here. I don't know if I'm going to call for the outright upset, but one catalyst that could come into play is the fact this is the first true start on the road for a very young quarterback. So just saying, this might be a difficult spot in a hostile environment. I think Washington can hang within the 8 points.
Yeah, I may end up getting to the window with Washington. We're going to find out here, Steve. This is the problem. I have started betting so much later in the week because I feel like I'm getting better of the information, and that's what I prefer now as opposed to trying to beat the market, right? And also, you can't get down as much earlier in the week, so then you're betting some at this number, and then the market moves, and next thing you know, you're trying to get another 500 or a dime down. And it just is one of those things where I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to wait Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then Saturday we get all those needs from the Westgate. I get some other information, and I like to tail some sharp friends of mine. Let's talk about a couple of the games that you like. I know you did a Fade the Public video over there on the Wager Talk YouTube channel right after we got done filming Wager Talk today. So that is up. What else do you have up over there? And then what other games should we be looking at?
Yeah, the NFL videos are all locked and loaded. I don't know if it's actually cool. The Insiders got a sneak peek at the Fade the Public video last night before it goes live this afternoon. So that's another reason, by the way, to be a insider for $2.99, not $2.99, less than $3 a month. I think it's wt.buzz/insiders, I believe is the shortcut. But they got the sneak peek 12 hours sooner than everybody else on my Fade the Public video. That will be up in a couple hours for everybody on YouTube TV. The college football top 25 video is up there right now. 6 games in depth. So games we haven't talked about here on that video as well. And then some standalone videos. The Ohio State game I did and some other ones. So, hey, it's all free right here on Wager Talk TV. And, oh, by the way, Kelly, bonus free play on my page right now. I don't do a lot of totals in college football this early, but I have my first free total of the season up for a night game tonight on Saturday. So go get that on my page right now. My college football free play total, my top total of the week, free. Steve Merrill, WagerTalk.com, and get there quicker, wt.buzz/SM.
Love that, love that, love that. All right, guys, if you have a question for Steve, drop it in the chat. We got Kyle Anthony waiting in the wings. We got a couple of UFC questions for him. I know he's going to touch on a pair of fights before we get to kickoff. I don't see any more questions. Ralph did a really great job. I know Steve filled in last minute there when I found out that Art wasn't coming in. I'm using Steve's Fade the Public techniques to fade my wife so I can watch the games.
Yeah, you got to be careful with that. Like we always say, you don't always fade the public. Sometimes the public is right. Wives are normally never right, but you got to tell them they're always right. So that's how you fade the public there. It depends. I'm sure she's a lovely lady. Sounds fantastic. I will say this, Kelly. You talked about the needs with the Westgate, though. Yeah, it's 100% money. And I think people forget that the sharps bet 10 to 20 times more than the public, right? So when I'm doing the public data for my videos, I'm looking at ticket counts. I'm looking at consensus contests, like where a lot of squares are playing. And most of the public money in the NFL does come in on Sundays. Ace and I talked about that yesterday. So, I'm doing a little foreshadowing when I'm doing the video on Friday night into Saturday. But yeah, look, the sharps bet 10 to 20 times more than the public. So ticket count and money are two different things. And when you see a high ticket count on one game, but a high money count on the other side, that actually sometimes is a sharp square to buy that you want to pay attention to.
So also interesting, Steve, and this dates way back to when we had the proxy service. And even before then, when I was in the contests, back in my early days of Vegas, if you faded the top 5 selections.
Correct. Yeah. For years.
It was money. And it's been money in not only the Westgate Superbook, but also the circuit contest. That just had me think the top 5 most selected super contest college teams in week 5, Ole Miss with 254, Washington +8 with 221, Oregon +3.5, Pitt, VR said he thought Pitt was the public underdog today with 204 selections, and then Georgia -3 with 191. So very interesting list there to see who I would say if you're going to spend $500 in a college football contest, either A, you got to think a little bit of something.
Right.
Or B, you just don't care about money and you're just trying to have fun for the season.
Yeah, and what's interesting about the Circa one especially is that's sharper than all of them, I think. The Westgate has been over years, but you get a lot of public money in the Westgate contest because the entry cost was lower, like you said, and you had more entries. But yeah, for decades, if you faded that number 1 pick, especially in the Westgate, you made money every season. And something you got to be careful with the contest is a lot of times they're playing stale lines. So you have to look and say, well, is this one heavy because the line is 1 to 2 points better than what the market line is? But even then, it probably loses more times than it wins. It really is an amazing phenomenon. And it goes back to something that you and I know, Kelly. The odds makers aren't that wrong not too often. And if they are, they're not off by more than a couple points. And you talked about playing later in the week versus early in the week. Yes, the lines are sharper later in the week, but you have to decide on what type of capper you want to be. I'm not trying to chase numbers on Sunday night, Monday morning. It's just not my style either. But sometimes, like Ace and I talked about yesterday on Friday, you got to stay off a game. If the line moves against you, you don't have that value anymore on Friday, you've got to pass. But fading the public does win more than it loses. And by the way, all 3 weeks this year, my NFL video, you have made money if you faded the public plays I've given out. It's now 11-5-1 so far after 3 weeks. And I hadn't mentioned it the first couple weeks. I mentioned it in the video this weekend, which means the public will probably go like 4-0. We'll see what happens.
No. This is still bath week, Steve.
Yeah, weeks 3 and 4 usually are pretty good ugly underdogs. Like Ralph had that 0-3 chart the other day about how on the blind those teams have made money for a decade now in the NFL.
Absolutely. All right, Steve, we're going to get you out of here. We're going to get to talking UFC. We have almost 3,500 of you guys watching live. Congrats to all the new members joining here on the Wager Talk Insiders. WT.buzz/insiders, as Steve mentioned, just $2.99 to join. You guys are going to get early access to videos. You guys are going to get early access to free Steam rooms. And we've got a lot more planned as we start to build that membership program. Steve, I hope you have a very profitable weekend. And I'm sure we'll see you here on Last Call in the near future. Kyle Anthony, he figured out the link. I'm so happy Kyle is here. And he knows I'm going to bust his balls about it because that's what I do here at Wager Talk. That is my job.
You gave like a hint. And then I scrolled, I looked around, I found Dan Alexander's name, I messaged him, and I asked him where it was.
Wow. We're throwing Dan. Dan's not the producer today. Today's supposed to be his day off. We actually pay someone else to fill in for him so he can have the weekends off. So if he wants to go back to working weekends, I am full on. I'm full on.
He definitely gave it to me firm. Like, dude, this is where it is, bro. Like, this is where this shit is. Like, I was like, okay, all right, I got it. Kelly stonewalled me. Dan was a little nicer. I'll take it. Of
course, Dan's going to be nicer. That's the problem. Somebody's got to be the bad cop here. And we're going to talk some UFC. And we've got some questions from our audience. Kyle, I'm going to have you go into your first fight right out of the gate. The joke is here. Anytime I host a show with Kyle, he always picks the hardest names for me to try to pronounce. So I'm just going to concede and let Kyle talk about this first fight.
All right, so the first one we will talk about is the main event, and we're going to talk Carlos Ulberg and Dominic Reyes. So in this fight here first, when you look at Dominic Reyes, I mean, back 2020, he went out there, he almost beat the GOAT of the UFC, the GOAT of MMA, John Jones. It was a debatable fight, a very close fight. Some would argue that he won 3-2. MMA judging is MMA judging, and they gave it to John Jones. And after that fight, the title fight hangover for him was about as bad as it gets for Reyes because he went out there. Everyone thought, wow, you competed with John Jones. And then he gets knocked out 3 straight times in absolutely brutal fashion. He got knocked out against Jan Blachowicz, Yuri Prochazka, Ryan Spann. I mean, not a good look overall when you're looking at really the competition level is there, the power is there, but the chin may not be there. Then he comes back after a 2-year layoff. And now Reyes is on a 3-fight winning streak, and it looks good, on paper. He went out there, knocks out a couple guys. But the big question, and really the question I think that anyone who's betting this fight is, where's Reyes' chin? And those 3 fights, they kind of, I think, gave a little bit of like a false sense of security, because in order to test a durability, you need to get hit. And those 3 fights that he came back, he didn't really get hit. You have Dustin Jacoby landed only 6 significant strikes before he got knocked out. Nikita Krylov landed 4 significant strikes before he got knocked out. And Pillow Fist Anthony Smith landed 21 significant strikes, and then he got finished. And credit to Reyes. Guy's got power, there's no doubt. But the chin still is in question. And even his knockout against Ryan Spann, where he lost, Ryan Spann landed a jab, and it knocked him out. And that was the 8th strike of the fight. So this to me is a spot where really you've got Carlos Ulberg coming in, an elite level kickboxer, great distance management, great at range, much more technical striker between the two. I think has got the power as well. And I don't really see this fight going to the ground. I don't see takedowns. I don't see Reyes looking for these takedowns. I think this plays out on the feet, which again allows this opportunity for a knockout to materialize. And I do think this 5-rounder is really going to be the part where you're going to see really Ulberg early, maybe pick him apart, but land something big here. And the one thing we do know is you can't fix glass chins. You just can't. There's never been a moment where we've seen a guy, hey, this guy always gets knocked out, can't take a punch, and all of a sudden he can take a punch. I don't think that's going to happen here. I think that Ulberg lands the big shot, gets the knockout. So getting off the -250 number, you can get Ulberg by knockout sitting around -125. I like the spot, and I think that he wins this and ends up fighting for the title next.
Kyle, we got a question in the chat. Is there a reason to think Ulberg won't win by finish? Excuse me.
Well, the only thing that I look at with that is that Ulberg could maybe play it a little bit, a little patient, not look to get into the striking zone that you're going to see of Reyes. Reyes obviously has power. He's a guy that can bring that. But I think that if he does, it's pitter-patter shots from the outside. But this is Ulberg in Australia on home soil. I think that he gets this knockout, does it in spectacular fashion, and then, fights for the title.
All right, awesome. Talk to me about, this is UFC Perth, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so everybody in here is hanging out for college football. They want early NFL, but we moved you over here to Last Call because I think UFC recreational bettors, myself included, we're not talking about UFC early in the week. We're not you. We want to know, okay, it starts at this time. I want to get a little bit of action down while I've got my college football on one TV and I've got the UFC fight on my laptop. Talk to me about where they can watch this and where they can catch it, because it's on the other side of the world.
Right. So a lot of times these, especially when you're talking about some of these are in China, they're starting at 10 a.m. This one's at Perth. So it is starting at 7. So we are getting the right time frame here. It is going to be on ESPN Plus. So you're going to be able to see that. And, I'm sure it's every single sports book you go to will be having that. But yeah, this fight, we will go a little bit longer. It will be from probably 7 Eastern to probably 1 in the morning. So a lot of betting opportunities. I always talk about that each week. It doesn't have to be the highest level fight. I know the sexy ones people want to bet next week is UFC 320. It's a massive card. We're going to talk about that next week, but this is a spot here where there's opportunities to make money every week on UFC. That's why it's year round. That's why there's opportunities.
And that's why Kyle's here on Last Call, because we don't care. We want to make money. That's why I'm here anyway. So we're looking at Ulberg here early on. And who else are we looking at in another fight, Kyle?
So the other fight here we're going to talk about is Josias Musasa. He is sitting around minus 160, minus 170. Other side, Colby Thickney, he's sitting around plus 130, plus 140. And this is a spot where you look at Musasa, and he's a guy that came into Dana White's Contender Series, had a lot of hype behind him. He's 7-0, 7 knockouts, 6 in the first round. He's got the cool nickname, the Knockout Wizard. I mean, he looks the part, and, he's explosive. He's got power. There's a lot of great things that he does do. But in the last 2 fights that he had, I thought were just really underwhelming. In his Dana White Contender Series fight, it was a fight where he won, but he won by split decision. And it was also a fight I thought he clearly lost. He was outstruck in every single round. He was taken down 4 times, and his opponent had 4 minutes of control time. And I think that's just a really bad showing for him for a spot where it really looked like a smash spot. Still, the UFC signs him, and his most recent fight was even worse, where he came in as a minus 750 favorite. A lot of hype still was around this guy, and he was fighting Carlos Vero, who is a jiu-jitsu guy, grappler, doesn't have much power, very, pitter-patter shots. And this is where he came into this fight. Vera knocks him down in the first round and submits him in the first round. And again, another terrible showing. Still, we're getting here an opportunity where he's still a favorite. And I think this line is wrong. I do think that Colby has the ability here, should be the favorite here. And also, you look at what he can do. He's more well-rounded. He's training partners with Alexander Volkanovski. So they're going to have a really good camp behind him, a really good game plan behind him. Also, his debut, I think, is skewing this line a little bit because he came in on short notice against Taporia's brother on short notice, no camp, and still had a good account of himself. He lost the fight, but he still had a very good account of himself. And I think this is a spot here where, yes, Musasa is going to have that explosiveness, that power, but I think he's very raw. He's very green. He makes a lot of mistakes here. And I think the takedowns will be there for Colby. So I think Colby can get this job done here. I think that the plus money number is still nice. It's starting to tighten a little bit, but I still like him here at the plus 130, plus 140.
Now you're speaking my language, Kyle. We know I love those nice little underdogs. All right, we've got about 12 minutes until kickoff here. Anything else you want to talk to our audience about UFC Perth related?
Yeah, I can give you another plus money we can talk about here. And the other one is going to be Justin Tafa between Louis Sutherland. Now, a lot of times when I come on these shows, I'm breaking down styles, analysis, skill-wise, all these things that we just talked about in the last fight. This fight is not that. This is 2 sloppy heavyweights who really are just going to swing in the middle. They're going to throw. It looks like this is, that's heavily tilted towards the under in this spot here. And, Sutherland's a guy who I don't think is very good. Most of the guys, this is UFC debut. Most of the guys that he fought, were part-time garbage men on the side. Now he's fighting UFC caliber guy. Justin Tafa is not the greatest fighter by any means, but he is a guy that does have a lot of power, is going to be able to have the faster hand speed, good leg kicks, and I think he could mix it up a little bit. And I think that Sutherland's going to just He kind of moves forward, just throws random wild shots here. And this is a spot where Justin Taffa, out of his 7 victories, all come by knockout here. I think Taffa gets this job done. I think there's a possibility he gets it within the first or second round. But if you're just looking Taffa by knockout, that's sitting around plus 125, plus 130, roughly around there. And I think that's how he does it here. Another guy, home soil guy, I think he gets the crowd going with that one.
I love those plus money plays from Kyle Anthony at Kyle Anthony UFC. You guys can catch him there over on social media. Kyle, let everybody know what you've got up for today over at WagerTalk.com.
Yeah, so I have a couple plays up. I'm actually going to be adding, I have 3 plays in there right now. Going to be adding probably 5, probably have 2 more before we get in there. To your point before, Kelly, the weigh-ins were like midnight and everything's all different and changed. So normally I like to take a look at that before I finalize some of my plays. But I do have a 4% play since 2023 hitting at 71%. Feeling good about that one here. But again, next weekend, monster card, going to have a lot of plays. So check it out, WagerTalk.com.
Yeah, next weekend, Kyle's going to be joining us here in the last 20 minutes or so of Last Call, taking us up till kickoff, talking about all those UFC plays that maybe we need to be including in our college football watching. Just telling you guys, money is money. I love it. The UFC is one of my favorite sports. It probably saved me in the summer of 2020 from going absolutely and utterly cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. All right, Kyle, appreciate you coming on. Appreciate everybody in the comment section. Shout out to all of our new insiders that joined today, wt.buzz/insiders. You guys are in for a real treat. We're going to try to get you guys some of that first and foremost information that you get here on the Wager Talk YouTube channel. Maybe it's a couple hours before, maybe it's a day before, but we are going to take care of you guys. All right, guys, I hope you have a wonderful weekend. Ariel Epstein will be back tomorrow with Gianni The Greek, John Murray, Carmine Bianco. Joe Madden will be here Monday night before that doubleheader kickoff, hosting with the Perez. Have a great Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, guys. Good luck.